following program is closed captioned for the thinking impaired.
Let's tidy up this tangle of film by putting it on a reel. Here is a motion picture film, 1,000 feet, 16,000 separate photographs.
Welcome, everybody, to the official space section of the chart.
The truth! You can't handle the truth!
Sir, you're out of order. Out of order. I show you out of order.
Hey, everybody, I'm Michael.
I'm Rob.
Aaron.
And we're your real debaters this week, listener. Thank you for tuning into another episode where the art of cinema meets the power of debate. We are taking it back to our youth today, listener. First of all, we should recognize we have a special guest here. This has been something I've been trying to do for a year, and you're busy and I'm busy.
Years,
And we've been shooting it back and forth, and then he starts work, and then I'm working because he's working because he calls me, and then we work
He's
together.
wearing a dope hat, too.
Yeah, right? Panda vision, right? It's perfect for the show.
Camera house, yeah.
But Aaron Graham works in the Manitoba film industry. He is a production manager. I think we've been working together for probably close to 6-7 years now.
Yeah, almost 10, I think.
Okay.
Wow. 2013, 2013, I've known you.
Yeah, Mike, you're old now.
Yeah, time has passed.
Gray
for
bush.
Sure. Yeah, this gray beard. I've got
Oh,
footage.
no, I
of
said
it.
gray bush.
Oh, well, thanks for noticing my bush. But yeah, no,
I'll take any opportunity to throw in a Grandma's Boy reference.
I can't stop coming. It feels so good. That being said, before we get into it, before we talk about the cinema of our youth, the nostalgia, the films that made us, the films that our parents showed us, and the films that we watched when we shouldn't have, we want to tell you about what's going on. We want to talk about us. So if you've been to one of our trivia nights, Aaron, you've been to a couple of them.
Won a couple.
You've won some. I'm not surprised when I see him walk in the room. I'm worried for everybody else. Thank you to everybody who came out to Seinfeld Trivia Night on March 1st at Little Brown Jug. There were 70 people there, dude.
Dude, it's Seinfeld.
Wow.
Yeah, Seinfeld brings out
70?
70 people.
That's a good fucking turnout.
Yeah, it was good.
How many people for the first time? I won the first time.
The first
my
one
team,
was
not
50.
me.
And then because we got to a bigger room, we got to 70. We had the picnic tables in there.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun. I fell through a chair, which I fell through what I thought was a chair. It was actually a small table. And right as round 3 was ending, it was the best pratfall you could possibly ask for. As I was like, all right, we're going to take a crunch right through on my ass. It felt like the table went into my butt. I wasn't sure. I did the thing where I'm like, I'm just going to lie here for a minute. I just
check to see if I'm bleeding.
Yeah. Got back up. Everything was
See
fine.
if I've been bludgeoned in the ass.
I thought I had nails in my ass. I really did. Like I thought that, and it's like a piece of shit IKEA stool.
You almost got anally raped by a piece of IKEA.
In public, no less.
Yeah.
Like
that's not good.
Paying customers.
Yeah, you got pegged by
pegged
by IKEA by Schlossenogen or something.
I got pegged in the Little Brown Jug. So March 24th is what I'm trying to say, listener. I gotta do this right.
Gotta say the right place.
I gotta say the right place.
LBJ.
No, not LBJ. We're back at the Handsome Daughter for It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, March 24th. $10 a ticket. If you've been there before, it's 4 rounds. It's very theme oriented. Charles is doing this. This is his baby.
Yeah.
I will be the dunce of the evening.
What day is it again?
March 24th, Monday.
Okay.
7 p.m. register, 7:30 start time.
I might just come to watch.
Do it, man. You're more jump on the mic, ask some questions. Feel free,
dude. It's like literally 2 minutes from my house.
I know.
Yeah.
So,
did you mention what kind of trivia it is?
It's always sunny.
It's always sunny.
Right. Oh, you did say that.
Yeah.
Philly.
Yeah. Okay.
And like I know
you should get some prizes from Tommy B across the street.
Yeah,
that's their password for their Wi-Fi at all their locations. It's always sunny, and that's their main coffee. It's called It's Always Sunny.
That's. Okay,
you didn't know that?
No, I didn't.
Yeah,
know that.
There's a crazy reference, right?
Okay, we need to talk after.
Yeah,
we need to tie that into the fucking trivia night for sure.
What place is it?
Tom Bargain.
Oh,
Tom Bargain.
Okay, Tom.
Yeah. So their main coffee roast is called It's Always Sunny.
Right.
And their Wi-Fi password at each of their locations is It's Always Sunny.
Okay, so I'm going to go ask.
So I'm
them,
assuming that's the reference, but I've never actually asked. I always mean to.
Hey,
it must be
Tom Bargain. If you're listening at all, I would love some gift certificates. We'll tie it in.
Tom or Mr. Bargain.
Tom or Mr. Bargain, whoever owns the fucking joint, just get at me in the.
It's 2 guys.
It's all right.
Yeah.
Thanks. So yeah, tickets are on sale. 3 common. Link in the show notes. You can buy them right now. It's $10 a ticket. It's a good time. You can make fun of me all night long for not knowing like what rum ham is or what fight milk is. These are references I've been told are funny.
Fight Milk's really funny.
Okay, yeah. I know Charlie can't spell, so I was thinking I would
He
just
can't read.
Can't read? Is that it? Okay.
I haven't seen. I've seen a hit like
Very, very poorly. He's
seasons
basically
of the
literate.
show, but don't remember it. It's
I mean,
funny.
So good.
It's the bits are great, but it's just again, we were saying before the show, too much, right? Like it's just too.
I've
too
only
much
watched.
content.
I've only watched the first 7 seasons though.
We are doing the first 10, listener, just so you're aware. Like it's not.
I think
You don't
there's
have to
12
go-
now.
There's 18.
18.
Is there 18?
Yeah, dude.
It's nuts.
Yeah, dude. It's insane. It's so
Yeah.
it's so insane.
No way. It's almost like fucking Simpsons.
Yeah, right. And like Fox was like,
They're on what streamer? They're on Disney.
They're
I
on
guess?
Disney now.
Yeah. Okay.
yeah,
It's always
'cause-
sunny. Yeah, because it's FX, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
which is part of the Star portion of Disney.
Yeah, because it was because
Yeah.
when they bought Fox, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
now it's
that's
all
right.
one big.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's trivia. And thank you for showing up for Seinfeld again. You made it really fun. You were interactive. You laughed at me when I fell, but then you made me feel okay after. Congratulations to the winners. We hope to see you at one of these. Subscribe to the show and subscribe to our social media because that's how you know they're happening. And that's it. Let's move on. Let's step off the moral coil here. So this whole thing it kind of came from an idea of what I love is nestled in the 80s, and then I started to think about why I had such a good childhood with movies, and then I was like, let's just celebrate nostalgia. The movies that we were first exposed to in our childhood. We've had a segment on this before, but we've never done a deep dive. So I guess the best place to start is do you remember your first movie, Aaron? Like, do you vividly
In theaters or like
let's say in theaters, your first movie in theaters, because your parents would have taken you, right? So it would have been something very kid friendly, I would imagine.
no? I think it was like Good Morning Vietnam. which
Really?
was- I was taken to the theater just to like as a babysitter. Like my dad wanted to see it or something. So.
Oh my god, that's
But
why
I fell asleep, so
There's
it
a little
doesn't really
profanity in
count.
there.
yeah, a couple
yeah.
F-bombs here and again.
It definitely didn't I didn't stay up for the whole thing.
Yeah,
and
okay.
I remember the shouting and like waking up and
Good Morning Vietnam.
I don't think I've seen it since though. Like
Really?
It's a good movie.
It's
the soundtrack was a big hit. I remember.
okay. So what's the first movie you remember?
Okay, let's see here.
Like experience, like going to the theater, watching the movie, and you still kind of remember the movie.
Beetlejuice. Yeah.
Beetlejuice.
Yeah.
Oh, I
At
didn't
the
get
Vogue Theater in Nova Scotia.
Was that 88?
88?
88
Yeah.
or 89?
88.
88.
89's Batman.
That's right.
So
I was just
Tim
going to say,
Burton.
yeah.
That's a super formative movie.
Is that where you grew up in
Yeah,
Nova
you're
Scotia?
from Nova
Yeah.
Scotia, right?
Yeah.
We're in
So,
Nova Scotia.
Cape Breton on the island.
Oh, nice.
So
Was that the Vogue Theater or the Vogue?
it was the Vogue Theater. It was like a rat trap. I remember the last thing I saw there was like 98. It was like a double bill of Scream 2 and Halloween H2O,
Cool.
which
Wow.
was like and they played the Jackie Brown trailer beforehand. It was like a
Nice. The first one was good. The second movie was like,
yeah. It was like a retro night. I don't know
That's
why they
cool.
did it, and then it was like
Like
it
a
was-
retro new night kind of thing?
It was like
Yeah.
a retro after like a year later. It was,
Yeah,
it was
okay.
like weird. But then they closed, but it opened for that one night for that one. I don't know what it was, but
kind of like a celebratory send off kind of thing.
I
Did it have
guess.
like the old school kind of like upper?
yeah,
Yeah.
I
balcony.
see it in my mind.
Yeah.
I saw that. I saw Alive there. I think.
Oh,
which is
okay.
a great movie. That was 10 when
fantastic.
that
Did
came
you see
out.
the remake of the Sound in the Snow, or the one that won
No,
an
I didn't
Oscar
see
on
that.
Netflix?
No.
That one was
There's nothing better than a movie about cannibalism, eh?
That whole movie's just very comforting to me, even though it's
Yeah.
tragic and everything.
Because I think it's great because at the end, you know the entire time that it works out,
Yeah.
right? So you're like, even though you know the end, you're excited.
Yeah,
When
you're-
it's like Apollo 13.
you're
You
in
know
there
what
for the- yeah.
happens,
You're in
but
there
you're
for the
like,
journey.
fuck, yeah.
That's the journey.
Yeah.
That's not the destination
Totally.
for sure.
But it does that thing in movies which sometimes annoys me, which is John Malkovich is in it like as one of the guys, and he's smoking cigarettes and telling the story. And when you're a kid, that fucks with your head, so you think that's one of the guys that was.
Oh yeah, you would be like, why are you narrating if you didn't experience it?
Yeah, no, he's not narrating it. He's talking like it happened to him. He's sitting in like a theater and he's smoking cigarettes and he's explaining all of this. But when you're a kid, your brain's just like, oh, he must be one of the guys. You don't know who John.
Oh,
Malkovich
you don't know
is.
the Malkovich.
Yeah, that's a few years away.
I used to do patrol. Do you remember patrol movies? Did you have those? Where like all the patrols in the city would go see a movie? At the
No,
same
we
time?
went to McDonald's one time.
Okay, yeah, we used to go see.
That wasn't
patrol
cool.
movies.
What's patrols like? Boy Scouts?
No,
No.
like those kids that like are at the busy intersection, and then
Right.
they wear the reflective vests and
Oh,
have
yeah,
like
yeah,
little
okay.
sticks, so the little kids cross the street properly, and like
Yeah.
the grade 5s or 6s will do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty sure it was
Interesting.
something like The Rescuers Down Under or some shit at the Globe Theater.
Oh, the original
Yeah.
one?
The original one, yeah.
I just watched
And-
that. I just watched that a few months ago with Lucy.
But like I remember vividly, like I don't remember the movie so much until later because it's your like what I remember was the experience of going to the movie theater, which started off with a bunch of other kids who were fucking crossing guards. But like the collective experience of going to the movie theater, the movie didn't register so much with me, but that first experience of watching movies with other people was The Rescuers Down Under.
Did you tell your parents? Did you just go to the theater with
My mom
these
went
kids?
with me.
Oh,
The
okay.
parents sat at the back while the kids all like hung
So it was
out
like
the front.
orchestrated. It wasn't like you
Oh, yeah,
bugged
yeah.
off from school.
No, unfortunately, it was like a Saturday morning, and it was like
Right.
the early show.
Yeah, because I would have. I mean, Rescuers Down Under came out in the early '80s.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
or
yeah.
the late '70s. Actually, I think it is.
Rescuers Down Under is.
Oh, Rescuers Down Under is the Australian one. That's
yeah,
the sequel.
not the exactly.
That's right. Sorry, I'm
When they
mixing
fly
them
on
up.
when a hawk lets a mouse fly on its back.
Yeah.
That's like
That was
87.
early '90s.
You want to talk about being fucked with?
Yeah.
You're like, why don't those animals get along in real life?
Yeah.
How are they not on the same level of the fucking food chain? In this movie, they're respecting each other.
Because it's like Zootopia. The predators and the prey have to get along.
But it was always like animated movies dominated my youth.
I think they dominated everybody's.
They did, but like I mean, we were with the Disney Masterclass, the plastic book series,
Yeah.
the VHS, like that run of Disney
yeah,
movies,
yeah.
is
Everybody had it in their house.
everybody had it in their house, and like that's
We actually didn't. We had a couple of them, but not a lot. We didn't have the whole collection like a lot of people.
Rob. Do you remember your first? Was it your first movie
it's
theater
Jedi.
experience? Jedi, yeah.
Yeah, so I would have been 4. My mom took me with my friend Steven, and then his mom was there. So there was like the 4 of us. I think his younger brother was there too, but his younger brother would have been really little. But yeah, we went and saw Return of the Jedi.
Yes, yeah, I
release,
I'm pre-
83.
83, yeah.
Yeah.
So, and it would have been at one of the downtown theaters. So probably either the town.
I was gonna say the
or
town,
the Metropolitan.
the Garrick.
It might have been the Garrick. It would have been one of those 3, like in that area right there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh, the good old days, downtown rundown movie theaters. Those were
Dude, the town was the nicest movie theater in the 80s.
I don't. Oh, you know what? Okay,
Dude, that was the theater. That's where we went and saw everything.
Landmark kind of let it go to shit too, and then tried.
It
to
just
save
got
it.
old, and then it got bed bugs, and then it just got dated, right?
Nobody comes
But in
back
the
to
early
bed
in the 80s, it was awesome
That was the place.
because it had 8 theaters, and you're like, whoa, this is such a it was
Right.
cool, right? And he went down the stairs and he went up the stairs, and they had like yeah.
So,
What's a movie from your childhood that you still like watching today, and it's like comfort food?
That's-
You know, like
now
how
add
like
it
you're
to the
having a
list.
shitty day, and you're like, fuck it, I'm gonna have mac and cheese, and you feel better.
so mac and cheese for the eyes.
Sure,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, so formative animated classic for Aaron. Go. Why?
I'm thinking I didn't really watch a lot of animated movies when I was a kid. Like
No?
it's a weird thing. Like I mean, I watched Saturday morning cartoons,
Yeah.
but like features were like Alice in Wonderland, I guess.
What's wrong with your
was-
parents?
My parents rented heavy metal, I remember.
Oh, dude,
when
it's
I
so
was-
good.
My mom didn't know it was in the animated section.
My
I was
dad
like,
used
"Ooh."
to buy heavy metal magazines.
Those were great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was like stacks of them in the basement.
Yeah, Blade Runner influenced one of the issues. What was I going to say? Animated classics.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. Like, what
Like,
are the
was there
big
even
ones?
one that maybe stood out for you, like as a young teenager?
Just like a
Aladdin.
10-year-old.
I saw Pocahontas in theaters
Okay.
just because it was like playing.
Was there
for,
one
like,
that you had
kids'
on a
night.
VHS tape that you watched over and over again with your buddies ever?
No, it was like more live action. I don't know. It was
That's cool.
weird.
I
Yeah.
was denied. I was telling him before we started the show, like he was like he got to watch so much stuff that I didn't get exposed to, and probably still haven't seen.
Yeah, but dude, your mom wouldn't let you watch The Simpsons.
See what I mean?
Yeah, my mom wouldn't let me watch The Simpsons. I had a T-shirt that said the T-shirt when I was a kid said I'm an underachiever.
Yeah,
And
I'm
she
proud
crossed
of it.
out. She put overachiever in Sharpie. I swear to God, true story.
I was. It's disgusting what I have on here, but I mean, yeah. If you default away from Disney, All Dogs Go to Heaven is probably one of my favorite.
See, when do you name them?
Never seen it.
I'm doing this thing too. I'm not going to look at my notes. I'm going to try to. It's got to come from my brain. off the
Okay,
cuff.
okay.
It's a challenge for myself.
But like All Dogs Go to Heaven is one of those like animated movies that I like now, where it's got a more of an adult theme. right? Like
Yeah.
Our shaggy dog is kind of a troublemaker, and it's about death, like strong themes. But I just remember that movie. Like that movie has like a scary element to it, like that bulldog or the pit bull that's like the bad guy in the movie. Like just there's a certain select set of adult animated movies that were made for kids, obviously, of that era. I think the unicorn one that you watched with.
So I've got 4.
Yeah.
Right, that really stand out for me. So one is The Last Unicorn. Okay.
Yes.
And this is one that I've watched with my daughter, and I think I watched it when she was 3, and she really liked it. And it had some scary kind of moments and stuff, but it's really cool. And it's basically all the unicorns have been killed in the world except for one, and she's the last one. And there's like this demon that's chasing after her, and then she gets transformed into a human form. And anyway, it's really cool. Another big one for me is the Hobbit animated movie.
Yeah.
Oh dear Lord.
The Ralph Bakshi one.
The
And
really
then-
weird looking kind of like
that to me is like Lord of the Rings. Like that's what always was the image in my mind.
It took so much from the book because I saw that like right after.
Dude, it's fucking spot on.
Yeah, like it's what I guess shouldn't have been 2 movies.
It has about 7. I mean, well, it's almost 2 hours long. It's got 75% of the book in it, I'd say.
And it's like a 90-minute movie, right? I think
Like,
it's short.
just a touch over that. Maybe it's an hour 45.
Yeah.
But it does a really good job of slamming it all. It has tons of the songs. It covers all kind of the key stuff.
It's very Tolkien. Like
Oh,
it's
big time.
I mean, not a slight against Peter Jackson, but like it just you feel the book in the scenes.
I feel like the Hobbit trilogy is a little long, but that's just me. Because you're stretching out basically Lord of the Rings, but from the Hobbit book with a little bit extra. It's anyway. Another big one for me is one called The Secrets of Nymph.
Right.
Yeah, the secret. Isn't that the mouse one?
It's the mouse one with the rats.
They
And-
almost remade that recently.
Yes.
Did they?
There was
It
there
is-
was a push to do like a live
Yeah.
action.
and
Like
the book is better, but the cartoon's really awesome.
what's the main story in that? I never.
So the main story is that there's these rats and these mice that are in a lab, and they basically train them to become super smart and strong and live long, and they escape. And then the story is basically there's a family, and the father died, and the mother and their children live in this space, but where they live in this like brick, it's gonna like get moved or damaged by the humans, and so they have to go and adventure, and the rats help them move it, and it's a whole thing about that.
Yeah.
It holds up.
I don't know. I mean, even like I think what I love so much about it's not even the movies. Like I love Land Before Time. I love Fern Gully. I love Five Goes West.
Ferngully, actually, I remember watching because I followed Christian Slater's career, and he was a voice.
Pump up the volume, hook you.
Yeah.
Pump up the volume.
Gleaming the Cube.
Cuffs. Remember the movie Cuffs?
Gleaming the Cube is great. Yeah,
Gleaming the
yeah.
Cube's great.
Yeah.
Gleaming the Cube's great.
Yeah,
Look at the
Ferngully.
Cube
I
was
was
a-
already I was already like 12 or something when that came out.
Well, yeah,
so
because we're 2 years off of each other.
Yeah,
and we're a
we're
year
3
off.
actually.
Yeah. By the Gregorian, but
Gregorian.
but like I think it's because it's cell animation.
Right.
Yeah.
I think as much as I know Pixar is still considered art, and DreamWorks is doing crazy things with like the Puss in Boots. That looked amazing.
It's great.
The new.
I've seen it 12 times.
But I think it's the cell work. I think knowing that someone had to draw it, and I mean labor intensive. I don't know, Aaron. Like, as much as you don't really have those moments, I think artistically
animation,
speaking,
like, and it's not like I'm against animation.
No,
'cause
no. Yeah,
I watched Scooby Doo. I watched like Heathcliff. I watched all of those
Flintstones.
shows. Lone Star,
Hanna-Barbera.
Brave Star,
Hanna-Barbera.
Brave Star. Yeah, Hanna-Barbera. Looney Tunes. I'm still like
Smurfs.
obsessed.
Tiny
Smurfs.
Toons.
Tiny Toons, Animaniacs, Freakazoid, that whole block when that came
Yeah,
out.
yeah.
that
What are we
was,
going
like,
to do tonight, Brian?
11, so that was great. But yeah, like Looney Tunes, like even today, like I put those on for my daughter and just try to get her. She's not into them yet; she's too young. But
But she will be.
yeah, I'm
she
obsessed
will
with
be.
those. Like the
You
whole.
know what? That's what you think, but every time I show Lucy old cartoons from the 80s,
Right.
like I tried to show her Gummy Bears,
Yeah,
and she
doesn't-
was fucking bored.
She wasn't bouncing here and there and everywhere.
Because the old cartoons from the 80s don't have the hyper realistic colors,
Yeah.
and they just don't have the speed. Like
No, they
you know,
don't.
when you're dealing in the world of fucking Bluey and Kif is a new one that she really likes, or
Yeah.
Paw Patrol she's grown out of, but using as
So
an
you're
example.
saying she's into them or not?
She's
into them?
not into them. I've
Yeah,
shown them to her,
exactly.
and she just doesn't get into them the same way.
Yeah.
So it's
I think maybe eventually like 7-ish, 8 maybe,
Yeah.
but she's not. She's finally able to watch the old Disney movies, whereas she could watch the animated new Pixar ones, but the older ones,
Yeah.
it would lose her interest.
Yeah. I think I actually put on Gummy Bears because it's on Disney.
Yeah, it's on Disney. Yeah.
I put one on for her. She's almost 3, but
Yeah.
just no interest. It's just
Totally.
like, what is this? Like,
Well, it's because she's addicted to. She's mainlining Paw Patrol.
yeah.
it's interesting that you both
and
say,
or something kind of comparable.
Miss Rachel or whatever.
I have to say though, Bluey is the bomb, and I really like watching that show. My favorite Bluey episode is where the dad is telling the story about him and his brothers riding BMX bikes.
Right.
And Bluey goes, "But Dad, you're not wearing a helmet." Pff, helmets. It was the 80s. There was no helmets. And I'm just like, yes.
do you guys as parents like are you excited to share this stuff
Absolutely.
with your
Yeah,
with your,
Love
of course.
it.
right?
Yeah. And she's still young. How old's your daughter?
She's 5.
So she's into the age where she can get into this stuff. I'm
Yeah.
still like, yeah.
And sometimes I would introduce something and it would fall flat, and then I'd be like, okay, I'm going to put that. I'm going to come back to it, and
Yeah.
I've come back to it subsequently,
Yeah.
and now it's the right age. So sometimes you think, oh, okay, this is the right time to introduce it, and because I think we forget exactly where we first enjoyed it,
Yeah.
and maybe we actually enjoyed it at 7, and that's actually the better time to introduce it, but. It's just it gets muddled, right?
Well, that's a perfect segue into what you watch. Let's step away from animated for a second and get into the live action, because I feel that because we have the 80s, we have the best toy chest to pick from. We have some of the best gambles, some of the weirdest attempts, some of the most fantastical things that are all practical that just have this like
It's a big one for me was Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
Yes.
yes.
That animated scene when he's in the truck
Yeah.
and his face looked like this. Ah!
Yeah, that freaked me out.
Oh,
Large
yeah.
Marge.
Paul Rubens
Large
never,
Marge, thank you. I couldn't
Yeah.
remember her name.
he never
it's-
got enough credit.
That whole co-written by Phil Hartman,
Right?
Too,
Did Phil
so-
Hartman co-write it?
Yeah,
Fuck, that guy was so good.
Things
He
you
was
don't
one of
know
the-
until you know, right?
he's a
Yeah.
reporter at the end at the drive-in,
Oh, he is.
and it's like But that whole
The basement of the Alamo.
yeah, Jan Hooks, the whole SNL cast. I'm watching SNL season 12 right now.
Oh, that's
so
cool.
you're going back to
Nice.
Just the first Phil Hartman, Jan Hooks,
Yeah, yeah.
Dana
Oh,
Carvey.
nice.
Yeah.
So it's like that's fresh in my head.
Was that 87?
86, 87.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's cool.
But Pee-wee's Big Adventure, my mom to this day says like that's the one you kept renting as a kid. You're like, I want to watch
Yeah, dude,
this.
I remember
That
it
scene
too.
where he's pulling the chain out.
Yeah.
And then, but Bill, but they purposely left it so you could see kind of underneath it and the chain being pulled up continuously. It's like they did that on purpose.
But they talked about that on the commentary. That's a mistake.
Oh, they
because
did.
It's matte. It's supposed to be framed. It's because on the full frame VHS they took the matte out. In theaters, there's a matte for that, so you're not seeing it.
Oh,
So that's why you
cool.
see it on 3x4, but you
Yeah,
didn't see it on
yeah.
16:9.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, frame rate counts.
And
It's funny that I brought that up, and then
I
you've
know.
got a thing about
It's
that.
in the commentary. They like Tim Burton and Paul Rubens did a commentary. And they're like,
See,
we were
he's a
getting
legit
shit
fan.
for so much time that like,
Aaron's
watch
an
the-
encyclopedia.
watch the commentator. Yeah,
it's good.
yeah, it's awesome.
And but it's only like 35 minutes too on the DVD or Blu-ray because it's
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
Well, that's nice and short.
It's they ran out of things to talk about. They're like, we're done.
It was Pee-wee's Big Adventure, and what was
Yeah.
the other one? It was Pee-wee.
Oh, Big Top Pee-wee.
Big Top
which
Pee-wee.
was not as good.
That
Yeah,
was
no,
that
that
one.
one fell
That was
flat.
weird because he was like he actually he kisses the girl, and it was
Yeah.
like weirdly awkward, and
You can tell that the studio kind of was like, let's make him charming.
let's make him more hetero.
Yeah.
But the latest one was good. The
the
last
remake
one.
that they did
It's-
briefly?
No, with it was for Netflix with.
Like a TV show, like Pee Wee's
No,
Playhouse.
they did another one. I don't know why I'm memory holding this one. It's co-written by Paul Rust, who was on the actor from I Love You, Beth Cooper, that Inglourious Bastards he's in. Pee-wee's Big Holiday? Pee-wee's Holiday? Something like that.
I haven't seen it.
You should see it. It's like more along Big Adventure than
Is Paul
Pee-wee's,
Rubin in it?
Pee-wee's
Is Paul
Big
Rubin
Holiday.
in it?
It's Pee-wee's Big
What's
Holiday.
that?
Paul Rubin's
Yeah,
in it?
he's
Okay.
Pee-wee. It's
Yeah,
great.
no, and I mean, he died not long after, actually. It was actually 23 he died. I thought he died late.
Remember when he got caught jerking off in that movie theater?
Which,
There's a new doc coming out about
there
all
is a new
that,
doc
too.
coming out about
Yeah.
that, because the question is, what else do you do in a porn theater then?
Yeah.
Like, what do you like? What? Why are you putting it on the screen if that's what you're not supposed to do in the room?
Didn't the police like search his house and they found like these little like naked cherub like statues,
Something like that.
and they tried to charge him with child pornography?
Yeah, they really went. They went to town on him. Unfortunately,
Something must have happened there. He obviously crossed the wrong.
Yeah, he pissed someone off.
He pissed somebody off, like a Weinstein kind of level.
Yeah.
I am most formed by specifically one that I think taught me so much about empathy and understanding people who aren't like you. Short Circuit.
Johnny Five is alive.
I think Short Circuit is one like it is.
You love the Goots.
I am a Gooten. I'm Gooten for Berg.
I like the Police Academy more than Short
Yeah,
Circuit,
for
but,
sure.
yeah.
And I mean,
Only the first one though.
First
2.
Yeah, first 1, 2.
The second one's funny because Bobcat's in it, right? Yeah.
but like, I mean, we did make some mistakes with what's his face's casting as an Indian man.
Fisher Stevens.
Fisher Stevens as an Indian man. That's the 80s.
It was
whatever.
the 80s.
It's the 80s. I mean, I don't hold any grudges.
Everybody gets a pass.
Yeah, you're right. It's fine. Everybody's doing coke. Nobody was thinking.
Everybody's still doing coke. What are you talking about?
Fair enough. But yeah, Short Circuit, just like it's such a cool kid science fiction movie.
It is.
It has such a warm spot in my heart.
When they had like the evil Johnny,
Right, when Johnny Five goes back with the red eye,
and they got like the
and then the next one they make out like the army does exist, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And like it's that bad.
What's
80s...
the actor's name again that played the fake Indian guy?
Fisher Stevens.
Thank you,
Stevens,
Fisher
yeah.
Stevens. He's so good in Hackers.
He's so good in Hackers.
Yeah.
He's so good. He's even good in Succession too. He's got a small minor role in Succession.
Actually, he does. That's
I think
a good
he's
point.
like one of the go-between lawyers involved in the
forgot
mergers
about
and
that.
shit.
Yeah,
No, that obviously not huge budget childhood.
What about the Flight of the Navigator?
Dude,
That's kind of
I
right.
just watched it like a week ago.
It actually holds up.
Elliot is
Lucy actually thought it was really cool.
and Paul Rubens again.
Is that Paul
Is he
Rubin?
in that?
Oh,
Or
yeah.
he's the voice.
He's the voice.
I haven't seen that movie. Yeah.
You haven't seen Flight of the Navigator?
No.
I remember seeing it as a kid. I remember when I was 11, we went to Florida and we did the back lot, and they had like the Flight of the Navigator ship sitting there on the back lot, and it was all kind of like
It's
dirty
like
and stuff.
You know what? When you hear
The
about like
screen.
Yeah.
today's idea of what an alien ship looks like, it's pretty fucking similar. I don't know if it was propaganda back then, but now it looks like somebody might be right about what they were working on.
Can I throw one out?
Yeah, do it.
Goonies.
Yeah.
Is that almost as much of a give? Like, I mean, I'm not saying it's not formative. I'm not saying it's not pivotal.
But I fucking love it, and I still watch
Is that
it.
is that your craft dinner for the eyes?
It is one of it's that and
your happy place?
It's that and Back to the Future.
Yeah, I've heard we've gone down rabbit holes about
But
Back to the Future.
But Back to the Future is the perfect movie.
It is the perfect movie.
It's a perfect movie.
I'm not saying it's better or anything, but I like Back to the Future too a lot too. That's the one I'll watch more
Okay.
because of the future.
Do you like
stuff.
kind of like the cool stuff that they do, and then
Yeah.
comparing it to like this came true, this didn't come true?
and the whole like the antique shop where it's like the
Yeah.
Jaws, the video game.
Oh, and then the Pepsi Cola coming
Yeah.
out of the
It's just there's something about it that I like. I don't know. It's weird.
I really wanted to get my hands on a sports almanac after watching that movie. I was
That
like,
too.
I'm gonna bet like Biff. Gonna fuck
And then
yeah.
the third one I
Proud.
don't care about.
The third
one I
one's
don't care
kind
about.
of
D-
the
you
third
know-
one's fun.
Yeah,
but it's just you went and saw it because it's the third one.
yeah.
I
do like the Eastwood
That stuff.
like that whole, and then at the end, like the name of the thing is
it sounds
yeah.
Billy the Kid aspect, the whole Western spaghetti Western thing. What were some of yours? Because like you said, you were taking to the theater.
Pee-wee's Big Adventure. What? Not movies I've seen in theater, just on VHS.
Yeah. Oh, totally.
Totally. Like
I just know
one
you
thing
said-
you would watch all the time,
Yeah.
or you would rent all the time, or is like,
Right. Cloak and Dagger is a good one. Henry Thomas.
I've never seen that
That's
movie.
a good one. Dabney Coleman. It's kind of early '84.
I've heard of it,
It's
but
about like an Atari
I'll get it up
game.
on Letterboxd.
it's funny because I heard somebody talking about it the other day on something.
It's been remastered recently, so it's like there's a 4K out there. It looks.
Oh, Henry Thomas is in it.
Yeah,
From
right
E.T..
after- yeah, right after E.T.
I've never fucking seen this movie. You know, another good one is The Black Hole.
The Black Hole is great. That's a good movie.
Yeah.
I've got the lunchbox. It's like
With like those super campy robots and shit.
yeah,
and-
they go to hell at the end. Like that's the whole end of the movie. I
guess that is,
it's
eh?
like they're going into lava and it's like
Yeah.
hell, but
Yeah, that's a gooder. Another
good.
one for me is, and I mean, obviously this is obvious to you, is Indiana Jones movies, man.
This is what I keep saying. Like, our childhood,
Raiders of the Lost Ark. I've watched that movie 2 times, like 3 times in the last 6 months with my kid. She's like into it. She's like, "Can we watch Indiana Jones?" Temple of Doom's even good, and it's not good.
Yeah, I love that.
Hey now, All-Star.
I think that's the first one I saw, so that's the one that's important to me. Temple of Doom.
I agree with you 100%. Temple of Doom.
Temple of Doom is the one I saw in the theater, but the other one is my parents played. We had it on VHS, and we would play it. So, kind of like Tron. Like I didn't see Tron in the theater; I was too young, but I saw it lots afterwards.
Do you guys see any sort of like attempt at trying to do what we had in kids kids?
I think they actually do a fairly good. They've done a fairly good job in the 90s and the 2000s and now, but it's all based on your perception.
It is,
and it's kind of like, I think the Ewoks are fun and cute. My dad thought they were stupid.
Oh, but
right?
the live action Ewoks movie is so much fun.
I think Jar Jar is stupid, but I bet you Jimmy, who is 14 years younger than me and watched that movie when he was 6, right? He likes Jar Jar. Because it's the nostalgia of being at a certain developmental time in your life.
The list is insane for stuff like.
Think about all the Arnold Schwarzenegger stuff. Think of fucking Arnold.
Yeah,
Stallone, Rambo.
Over the Top was a big one for me.
Top.
That was the soundtrack. Still like.
How about Howard the Duck?
Great.
How about The Princess Bride?
Princess Bride.
Like I saw that in the theater. I was like, that's another movie I watch all the time. That's nostalgic. I should have worn my Princess Bride socks. I am wearing Goonie socks.
There you go.
They made movies. I mean, if you've heard the Matt Damon, you've probably heard the Matt Damon.
Yeah, I watched. That was promoted somewhere on social media too. It's like
what thing were we talking about?
About you go.
It's the loss of the DVD.
Oh yeah, I've seen that. I've seen that clip.
And the fact that risk was mitigated by
the chance that you would make up the sales after the
you'd
fact.
have a second box office run essentially, and
even VHS too.
Think about how many. Think about how many movies fall into that, right? Boondock Saints. Existed because of the VHS.
Yeah.
Lock and Stock and Two Smoking Barrels.
Donnie Darko.
Donnie Darko is another great example. There's tons of these
things to do in Denver when you're dead.
And it's funny how these movies actually become almost more cult classics than movies that were box office success.
Well, and like even the stuff that's not kid stuff, but like of the 80s, like
here's one, Jaws: The Revenge, which is a terrible movie.
Is that 3?
Like 4. It's the Michael Caine.
I was just gonna say.
Oh, I've never seen that one.
Is it the Michael
Caine's in it?
I've probably seen it like 25 times, but it's 90 minutes of like.
So
do you watch it because it's so campy? Is that what you love about it?
No, it's nostalgia. I watched it with my
Doesn't
brother.
she come back to like revenge Brody? Isn't that part of the plot?
It opens with like a very effective sequence where one of the Brody kids gets killed on Christmas Eve. And so
that's very shark.
Of course they do.
That's very shark.
Mrs. Brody is now thrown into disarray, and she goes to Florida to visit her other kid and his family, but she's kind of like messed up about it.
Yeah.
And then the shark comes somehow.
The shark is on a mission.
Coastal, and Michael Caine's there as an airplane helicopter pilot. That
you know what's so ridiculous about that is that great whites don't go to Florida because the water's too warm.
Yeah.
Hey, but
like there's such a big hole.
But Spielberg wasn't there to make sure that was safe. Like he was like,
Spielberg already wasn't truthful because more people die from whales than die from fucking sharks.
But 2 other things about that: Mariel Van Peebles is in it, doing a horrible Jamaican accent.
Mariel Van Peebles, I forgot about him.
And the ending.
He's a very handsome man, though.
Sorry, spoiler, I guess. But he died.
Don't worry about it.
Oh no, don't ruin it for me.
He gets chomped on, Mariel Van Peebles, by the shark at the end. Depending on which version you're watching, because on TV,
I actually think I've seen this movie now that you're talking about it.
I missed it. I got to 3. I got to 3 with Lou Gossett Jr. in the underworld.
3's awful.
3 is atrocious.
Yeah, I can't watch 3. Like 2's great. 2's just a continuation of 1.
Yeah,
it's like.
Well, and you still have Brody,
just a different director, right?
You still have Brody in 2, right?
Yeah, and Mrs. Brody,
Brody, but you lose Brody in 3, and then you get Dennis Quaid, I think, right?
Dennis Quaid, Leah Thompson, and 3 of them.
Wow,
3 of the cast
star-studded.
have been in Winnipeg too. Leah Thompson, obviously, Dennis Quaid, and the other brother is a director who was the mom from All in the Family. her kid. He became a director, and he directed a movie here.
Oh, cool.
Worked on a million years ago.
Look
Nice.
at without that movie, nobody would have. No, Leah Thompson wouldn't have a career.
Yeah. But it's the poster's great. That's
Yeah.
about it for Jaws 3.
Something's got to be okay.
Like,
but even the bad shit, well,
that's
was
a bad one. Jaws 4 is horrible. Like,
but there was risk taking, and I think that's why we have the best. Like, I am fine stamping we in this room, growing up in the 80s and the mid 90s. We have some of the best cinema that was part of our childhoods, where like the 70s were too safe. The 80s went off the rails. I think that's what it is. It's just like you get a budget, and you get a budget, and you get a budget.
Well, they were redefining cinema too, because the 70s is all about story and character, and then the 80s does a big jump into something
kids'
over the top, and just that's where the action hero was born. That's where, like, you know, the
Genre changing shit.
totally.
Yeah.
You know, you had Jean-Claude Van Damme and all the fucking kung fu fucking style movies that he did.
karate movies were a big
Karate
thing.
movies are a
Martial
big
arts, like,
Yeah, Steven Seagal became famous, and like Aikido, that's like
Guys.
the dumbest fucking martial art.
Best of the best.
Dude, I love that.
yeah.
Eric Roberts.
Put the thing back in my push it back in.
Chris Penn.
Chris Penn's so good in that.
Oh, good Lord. It's just so, it's like It's America,
Yeah.
American, being so
Team
America. Right?
fuck
And
yeah.
James Earl Jones out of the
Yeah.
costume.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it's just, and like Eric, and then
And they
like,
all walk in. He's got his fucking
the
ponytail and
tracksuits
shit.
and
Oh
shit.
fuck.
Yeah.
but like that's a great point. Like,
Yeah.
martial arts in the 80s
Ninja
was big.
movies,
Yeah.
Code of Silence is the Chuck Norris one.
Yeah.
Revenge of the Ninja, Enter the Ninja, all those canon
Tons,
ones.
man.
How about
And-
Sidekicks?
Yeah.
Sidekicks. I think that's in the 90s, but yeah.
Is that 90s?
Yeah.
Okay. It's all-
Jonathan
That's okay.
Brandis.
Jonathan Brandis, yeah.
It's early 90s. It's close enough. And all the fucking amazing Arnold Schwarzenegger movies.
Yeah, Red Heat.
Predator.
Predator.
Red Heat.
Tango,
Terminator.
not Tango and Cash.
Commando,
Commando. Thank
Red
you.
Sonja, Conan
Red
the
Son-
Barbarian
yeah.
movies.
And let's not forget fucking Conan.
yeah.
Like it's
Conan
The
the
second
Barbarian.
one sucks, though.
The second one
Conan the-
blows, but the first one is
Yeah.
so it fucking holds up.
What
that
makes-
soundtrack is so good.
Yeah.
But that's because Oliver Stone also co-wrote it. That fucking movie's so great. It's
The
so
second one got goofy with a tone where it's like Will Chamberlain and Andre the Giant is a monster.
And then
Yeah.
Grace Jones is in it.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's a
Well,
great
the
director.
It
Looks
had
good.
it had half the budget. That's why.
Yeah.
They cut the budget because the plan was to do the same budget, and then something.
let's scale up,
happened.
but not give it more money. Like,
The plan was to make something on the same level, but there was something happened at the studio,
Yeah.
and the budget got cut last minute.
It's the same thing with Superman 4: The Quest for Peace, which is like they had a budget of $36 million, and I think the last minute was cut to 17. That's why it looks like garbage. but
Okay.
it's still
Yeah, the fourth one's not very good.
fourth one's watchable though. It's terrible, but it's if you grew up with it, it's
Yeah, I like the third one because it's funny.
even bad.
Richard Pryor's so good in it. That scene where he's
yeah.
trying to put the two cards in at the same time, and the guy's like knocked out. That shit makes me laugh. And he's like, he draws the computer on all those little pieces of paper and puts them all out.
Yeah. Well, the opening of that movie is just like slapstick comedy, which is
Totally.
unsettled people. They're like, "What is this?"
Well, the Superman 3 came out right around the same time as Brewster's Millions,
is 3 the one where
Right.
all the blood is bubbling?
Where he's
is that
like
the
trying
one?
to-
where he has to spend like X amount of $1 million in like
Yeah.
a week or something. Yeah.
Is that the one with the boiling blood?
Which one?
3? Superman 3? I have
Boiling blood.
I have this vivid memory of like blood and kryptonite being in the same scene, and I
don't think so.
no, maybe I'm fucking.
I mean, the opening of Superman 4: Quest for Peace, he goes back to like his Pa Ken's barn, and there's kryptonite there, and it's an effective sequence. But then the rest of the movie is just kind of like whatever.
Isn't there like a new Superman is created? They launch something into the sun and
Nuclear
then, like, that's-
Man.
Nuclear
Yeah.
Man. That's what it is.
which is part
It's
of.
been a long time since I've
There's a
seen
great
that movie.
photo of them premiering it with like Princess Diana, and she's shaking Nuclear Man's hand. The actor.
That Nuclear Man is almost. It almost sounds like a character from The Simpsons.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like what's the superhero? in
Radioactive Man?
Radioactive Man.
Yeah.
And I love that scene where like the acid's coming and he goes, "The goggles that does nothing. The goggles they do nothing."
There's a 35-minute scene on the DVD for Superman.
Oh, you
4
wouldn't get that one. Sorry.
yeah,
where they made like the in between Nuclear Man because he's created where he's like kind of like a doofus
Well, he's a baby.
goof.
Is he a baby and he grows up really quickly?
Yeah, but there's
yeah.
a middle one in the deleted scenes on the DVD Blu-ray
Where
he's
he's like a gangly teen.
No, he's like I don't know what it is. He looks like Rick Mayall from The Young Ones. Or something.
Warner Brothers is so good at making some stuff, and then just everything else is a fucking dumpster fire.
I couldn't agree with you more. Right now, the last 2 years has been a very big, bright dumpster fire from that studio. Like,
What
Didn't
was
they
the
do the
reason?
Dune movies?
I'm not saying they're making bad stuff. I'm saying they're
They make bad choices.
they make bad choices.
Yeah.
That's when they do stuff. It's still the Warner Brothers spirit in there, and it's still you can still count on it. But they're just making weird choices. That
Is Nolan going back to Warner Brothers?
they gave him a bonus check for what they felt he should have earned on Tenet. I heard, like they're trying to court him back because when he walked across, it was Universal that did.
Tenet.
No, it was Warner Brothers that did Tenet, but it was Universal that did
Because he walked away after Tenet because of
straight to streaming.
it
during
was
COVID.
kind of,
Oh, because of the whole COVID thing.
Yeah. They didn't
but
give
that
it
was the
They didn't give him a
first
full theater run.
That was the first movie that you and I saw.
We did. That was
like after kind of the COVID. No,
I
it was
saw that with a friend
mid-COVID.
too.
It was mid-COVID.
I think
mid-COVID.
yeah,
It was
that-
weird. You're in the theater. Do I take it off? I don't know.
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm not
I
near
just took
anybody.
it off. I need to eat popcorn.
Yeah, I did too. But it was like I didn't enjoy it though because I was like,
I was
This feels
hyper
weird.
alert too. I
Yeah.
agree.
It's like-
and I mean, I still don't know how to enjoy that movie. Fucking 42 watches later, but I mean, it makes sense now. I think we've kind of solidified like what some of our favorite building blocks of our cinematic education are. For
oh,
review.
Gremlins too. That we have to mention.
Gremlins or Gremlins 2? Which one?
Well, Gremlins 2 is preferred for. I like the first one a lot at Christmas time, but the second one's like
Do you consider it a
goofy,
Christmas
Looney
movie?
Tunes.
You like the one in the building and with
Trump
all.
Tower, Clam Tower.
Was it Trump? Oh, was it?
It's based on Trump.
That's funny.
That's funny, dude.
It's
like
it's just everything, like the Hulk Hogan sequence. You know that, like where he takes over the VHS or the theater because they refilmed one with John Wayne for VHS where he takes out the VHS tape because the gag wouldn't work in theaters.
because how do you take a VHS out of a
Yeah.
movie theater?
Yeah, so the movie
it makes
theater-
really good sense.
Oh yeah.
So when we grew up, because I didn't see it in theaters, the VHS was what we'd watch. So you'd only see the Hulk Hogan or the
You
John
didn't know
Wayne
any better.
gag.
Yeah, yeah.
So then when it came out to DVD, you'd see that Hulk Hogan sequence.
God bless the DVD special features. Like it really. That's the thing that I miss the most about like physical media in this day and age of streaming is that all of our stuff when it got released on DVD had all these extras, had all this special stuff.
The reason I like
it celebrated the magic of
Yeah,
making the movie, and it made you more invested in the idea. Yeah, it's a marketing plot, but it made you more invested as being part
They
of.
really overestimated that people gave a shit though about making movies. I think with the behind the scenes and the commentaries, like there's a lot of like
It did get a little long in the tooth
commentary
after
by
a while.
FX supervisor. You're like, that's great for someone like me or you guys, but like, who cares?
the average person doesn't.
The average
care.
person
They're
doesn't
like-
give.
Some
two
people might
shits,
want to
yeah,
see some
yeah.
outtakes and stuff,
Yeah.
but I mean, you know, I
blooper
mean, I've
reel
only
is about
watched a
as-
handful of movies with the director's commentary on it. It's only
Yeah, I don't
you know,
anymore. Like, there's
Yeah.
It's.
My other issue, like I love physical media. I have hundreds and hundreds of Blu-rays.
I think. Well, between the two of you, you
But-
probably start a video store.
but my biggest issue is so much stuff hasn't been re-released in 4K and HDR,
Right.
and I can get that at the touch of a button.
Yeah, I know.
The one upside though is for some reason the Indiana Jones movies have disappeared from Disney.
Yeah.
Fuck you, Disney. By the way, figure that out. Well, luckily I own the
Not
first
enough room on the
four
hard drive, dude.
Yeah.
No, there's some fucking little spat going on with Spielberg there. I guarantee you. And but I mean they own the movies outright. They're Lucasfilm. But I own the movies, so the other day my daughter was like, "Oh, let's watch Indiana Jones," and I was like, "Fuck, it's not on Disney." But so I had to go upstairs and hook up the Blu-ray player and all that kind of stuff.
When everything goes to shit, you'll still have entertainment.
I can't watch DVDs anymore. They're just
I just
depends.
want physical media.
They
I
just
want to
look
know.
too shitty.
DVD.
1080p is just not good enough for me anymore. Sorry, no, they're sorry. DVDs
They're not
are,
even 1080.
DVDs are 480p. What am I saying? They're 480i.
Not 720.
No, they're not HD. So Blu-ray. Okay, so DVDs.
Here it comes.
DVDs
Laserdisc were what? Let's start at that.
So
'Cause
laser.
I have everything.
Okay,
Laserdisc.
so laser discs were they're technically what they call VCDs, or their
Right.
MPEG-1 is the format, and all a laser disc is a really big CD. So it's
Right.
the same technology as compact disc, same compression, just you're extrapolating a CD to the size of a laser disc with the size of an LP, and then you had a player that was able to accommodate that and take that rotation speed as the diameter got bigger into account as it was reading the binary on it, right? And so that resolution would have been maybe 480i.
Yeah.
Maybe
in
right?
later stages
because it would have been an
of
interlaced
later.
signal, right? Then you went to DVD, and DVD basically was MPEG 2.
Yeah.
And it had you could do a 5.1 Dolby Digital track on it or a DTS track on it, and so you basically doubled the capacity of that disc, and that allowed you to use MPEG 2 format. Then Blu-ray came. Then you had HD TV come out. That's 720p, and to this day, if you watch HD cable or satellite, it's only 720p. Then you had 1080p come out, which is what we call full HD. Okay, so it's 1980 by 1080.
Yeah.
Right, and that's what Blu-rays are. Right, and so now you're getting way better quality, those kind of things, because a Blu-ray disc holds 4 times the capacity of a DVD.
Yeah, you can really get really nichey about like your colors and how.
Well,
your
a
lighting and
Blu-ray
all that
holds
stuff,
26 gigs, right? So
Holy shit.
Yeah, so or 24 or 25 gigs. A DVD is about 4.2 gigs, right? A CD is about 720 megabytes.
Yeah.
Yeah, if LimeWire.
So that's your capacity, right?
If LimeWire taught me anything back in the day,
Yeah.
it was the size of a DVD.
Absolutely,
right?
absolutely. And then eventually they got extended CDs that went up to 800 megabits, but that was at the tail end.
Yeah.
And then you had basically 4K come out, and 4K is a big deal. But actually, what's more important than 4K is HDR. So the high dynamic range actually added more to the experience than 4K, but it basically elevated 4K to the next level. And then you had the 4K Ultra, then you had the Ultra UHD 4K HDR discs.
The more you know.
But then you got to watch the 4K UHD and Blu-rays. There'll be like different color timings on like one for what like 7, for instance. The Laserdisc that I have, the Criterion Laserdisc, is apparently the theatrical color timing, which you can't get on Blu-ray, DVD,
Interesting.
4K. And he retimed it for the new 4K.
Even if it's in filmmaker mode.
Essentially, yeah. I
Wow.
believe.
Interesting.
This is not my knowledge. It's online.
No,
but
that
the Laserdisc.
Sure, yeah,
color
no,
timing
it's-
is like
It makes sense though, because what happens is there's always small little tweaks and retooling over
Yeah.
time, and it's so different than TVs, right? Like, I mean, you know, you look at a you look at a Samsung or a Sony TV,
Yeah.
and their color, the way they do the color is going to be slightly different. And that's why there's definitely like a business model for people that calibrate TVs to a very precise precision. Right?
bringing it all back home. Jaws 3, the new 4K.
How's it look?
There's creepy CGI people. They've done like some AI stuff in the background
Motherfuckers.
for Jaws 3. If you like, there's a scene at SeaWorld or whatever.
Yeah.
There's an audience shot. You can Google it right now. You'll see these weird creatures. You don't have to if it's but not creatures, but people in the crowds that are like messy globs of like features.
The thing is, though, is that's not new though, right? So
Right.
when E.T. first came out in the theater and when it was on VHS, their mother comes in, and Elliot's dressed up like a
Holy shit, you're right.
Show him.
yeah. So his mom comes in and she says, "Elliot, you look like a little terrorist."
Right.
In the DVD, it's Elliot, you look like a little hobo.
Interesting.
So that's rewriting fucking history.
Yeah.
What is that?
That's the AI upscale in Jaws 3 in the re-release.
So I was collecting. I got the first one, which I'm sure looks good because Spielberg had a hand in it.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
was
Interesting.
not going to let that go.
Interesting.
But 2, I have 3. I was like, I'm not getting that. That's terrifying.
Just it's exactly why it doesn't work. This
is why I'd rather watch like a Laserdisc of Jaws 3 than anything,
Yeah.
which I have.
Or film. if
Or
you could
film,
get.
of course.
Yeah, get
But the
that
problem
70
is that-
millimeter print and just
That
fucking go.
degradation of the film though over time though, right? And that's the other thing too, is that if you watch a VHS now that's from the 80s and you try to watch it, the magnetism wears out and they look shittier and it's like listening to cassette tape now. Just doesn't sound good.
Eventually a worn-in jacket stops working, right?
Well,
And
that's a
it's-
limitation of that technology, right?
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, how many times have we?
An
how
LP
many
or a disc, as long as
Yeah.
it doesn't get scratched, it'll be as pristine.
how many
today.
VHS copies that are still out there circulating are from movie stores that got rid of them that have
But
been
there's a
rewound.
whole cult of this now, though, too. Like Tarantino has a theater in L.A. that just shows VHS movies, a little micro theater.
I'm not surprised that
I
that's
went
happening.
last summer, and
That's
it was, it seats 25 people because there's not much of an audience.
I
But
had,
it's
I
like,
had a version
But
of
it's 25
The Princess
people who
Bride
really
in
love
VHS.
that shit.
I gave it away to somebody.
what's that?
I had The Princess Bride on VHS.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That's probably worth something.
So,
did you hear what Pete Davidson did a few years ago? So a few years ago, he decided to buy all of these never been opened VHS movies.
Right.
He got like you would get super baked, right, and go on eBay
Him?
and
No.
buy sealed VHS movies. And all his friends were like, "What the fuck are you doing?" Like he's spending tens of thousands of dollars on it.
Yeah, he's
and
just...
apparently the market just went crazy in the last few years for the nostalgia of this. And this like, maybe he spent $50,000 or something. It's worth like millions and millions of dollars.
Oh, I'm sure.
Like, and he's just like, "Fuck you guys."
I've heard of like sealed VHS because then you get it like graded and
Totally.
like
It's
in a
almost been. It's
plastic-
like almost like a comic book.
Yeah, exactly.
But you also have to ask yourself,
Are
how
your box
long
corners
is that
pristine?
market going to last? Like at the end of the day, you could say this comic is worth $1 million, but it's only worth $1 million if somebody's willing to pay $1 million for it.
As long as Marvel makes those stories. into
As long as
movies,
we don't
those-
go into a fucking depression.
Oh, that's
because
also
at
true.
some point, at some point, people are like, "I don't give a fuck about collectibles. I need to eat, and I'm gonna cut you for that gold tooth."
Yeah.
Like.
Okay, so
When we start warring over water, fucking Road Warrior style, and that's another movie from my childhood.
Mother's Milk. Well, that's what we're getting because I know your dad showed you that movie. So
I got some other ones my dad showed me too.
As parents yourself, I'll never experience this because I can't show my cat a movie. But like, as parents yourself, there is going to be. We've talked about. There's going to be a moment where you get to. You've already got it. You've got it coming to you. But what did our parents showed us stuff? Some of my favorite moments of my childhood are watching movies with my mom in this big red blanket we used to cover ourselves in on the couch. But like, it sounds kind of weird.
That was kind of a
weird
weird
segue. Yeah,
Cuddle it up.
yeah, we can cuddle it up under big red. But
Next time, provide the age for context.
yeah, I was.
So when I was 6,
I was 7. It's not like I was 16. But the shit.
come sit with mommy.
Psycho 2.
Okay, go on. Sorry.
What are some of the movies that you owe your parents for showing you at a certain point in your life? Like, was it a choice, Aaron, that maybe your mom or your dad watched it with you, or was it just something that your dad was like, "I just want to share this with you, and let's put it on"?
My mom wasn't like. My mom isn't like a cinephile, but she watches a lot of movies.
Sure.
There's not really like distinction of quality.
Just likes it?
So like rent 8 movies over a course of a weekend.
Fuck
That's
yeah,
cool. That's
fuck
cool.
yeah. So you
That's
spent
the old school binge.
That's the
VHS.
hanging out in Blockbuster for.
They used to do
45
that,
minutes.
but you could rent 10 pack, right?
There
for
was
the
a video
3 days?
store in Cape
Yeah.
Breton called Max Video. You'd rent them for a quarter of VHS for like a night.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh, that's
So,
fucking awesome.
Read 10 movies. She didn't care. Like
My dad was the same way. He would come home every day with 2 fucking movies,
Yeah.
and one would be awesome, and one would be just campy shit. But whatever.
Every weekend at Blockbuster on Henderson Highway, I remember that. I knew.
Did you go to the one on Henderson too?
I did. Henderson and Springfield. It was
That's
my
where I used to go.
Blockbuster. Right.
That was my Blockbuster.
Yeah.
Like
I went to Blockbuster much old, like 15, age
Yeah.
15. That's when they opened one there.
yeah, Cape Breton probably took a little
It
bit
took
longer.
a little bit.
Took a
But they
little-
had that whole thing where it was like, it was the year of the AFI Top 100 because I remember renting some of those.
Okay, yeah.
Oh,
That's
sweet.
It's
cool.
like the whole like display of that.
Well, I also
at
liked
Blockbuster.
Blockbuster too because you'd walk around through the new release section and you'd rent the one where they'd have 50 copies because it was the new movie
new
they were
release
like-
wall.
But they always had a section that was like they only had one of each, and it was
Right.
all like the weird, unique shit.
was
And
the
that was
staff
my
pick. That was the staff pick.
That was not the staff
No?
pick. It was just that's where all like the art
World-
house
world
stuff
cinema.
and the
Indeed.
cool
Yeah,
stuff
yeah, yeah.
was, and the quirky student shit, and
That's where you'd find like Battle Royale.
that's where
or
you would
some
find
shit.
like Dazed and Confused before it became fucking what it is.
Yeah, how many beers did you have,
Yeah.
man? You're gonna die.
All right.
But the
yeah.
other side of that is that, my father wasn't a cinephile, so
Okay.
he just watched
60
it was
minutes.
crime movies. No, it was like Charles Bronson movies.
Sure.
It was Clint Eastwood. It was
Prototypical.
Those
dad
are
movies.
dope though.
The Reacher of the era.
Yeah, it's anything with like a detective. And,
Okay.
Film
Crime.
noir.
Yeah, I was gonna say film noir.
Shay here, Shay.
but there was
solve
no,
this
again, no,
crime.
like
Was your
video
dad into the
stores.
TV show Simon and Simon in the 80s?
Not that. More,
Law and
more
Order?
like Wise Guy.
Okay.
Story.
Did your dad like Goodfellas?
No,
Casino?
no.
What?
It's more, it was like there's a movie.
Was he really into World War II documentaries?
No, nothing like that. It was very.
You're stereotyping his father.
I like World War II documentaries.
No, I know. I just love how you're like, what kind of guy was
Yeah.
he? Was he
I
into
get
spaghetti
it.
westerns?
Yeah, no westerns either.
No?
It was
Okay.
like that was my grandfather, but like
Yeah.
I don't know. There's a movie called Terror on Alcatraz, which
Okay.
no one's heard of.
What's it called?
I mean,
Terror on Alcatraz.
Terror
is it-
on
Is it the wannabe sequel to Escape?
It's like 87, 88. It's a horror movie kind of. Aldo Ray is the actor in it who influenced Bruce Willis in Pulp Fiction, and it's everyone knows the Alcatraz story, the early 60s about the escape.
Yeah, Frank and
This is
his
like
friends.
they survived. The other old men, and one's gonna kill the other one, and he starts killing people. It's like very trashy. And I don't know why, but it was like he had an interest in Alcatraz, so we rented that, and I just remember this distinct. I've caught it on VHS now because it's not a DVD or anything.
No, they wouldn't repress that.
It's it's tough to take. It's like we were talking about what Cannibal Holocaust. It's like that, like quality. It's grisly shit that is, I don't know. It's a good movie though. Like even today, there's something about it. The actor Aldo Ray.
I always find Holocaust movies light themed.
Cannibal Holocaust is not about the Holocaust. It's
Cannibal Holocaust.
It's Cannibal Holocaust. Yeah. That one is about it's like a mockumentary, I guess you could say. There's a documentary team that tries to go to
the producers.
No. Well,
have you seen that Eli Roth movie, The Green Inferno?
I haven't.
It's that basically.
It's that.
Okay.
There's a whole subgenre of that, which there's even one in the 80s called The Green Inferno. Like the title's not
I think he
original.
kind of was soft rebooting.
So they're kind of like gore porn kind of movies.
It's usually like, Green Inferno is kind of funny to me because it's like these activists,
It's very funny.
Activists who go to this.
You're
place,
happy
they're gonna kind of explain how culture should be to these native people.
They're gonna bring Western culture
and they eat
too.
them?
Western culture, and then they just eat them and just.
That's perfect. It's
But
like,
like one, they're like, well, if we get them
Influence.
stoned,
it's like the one Christian missionary that goes to that one island off India where everyone dies when they go to it. Yeah.
They've
never had human contact with civilization.
There's a scene in it where like
And they're all Italian, these movies too.
very much so. No, I mean, I either your dad showed you a good movie or he showed you a shitty movie. Like it's either one or the other. I watched more good stuff. Like
Is there any famous like quintessential kind of like groundbreaking kind of blockbuster things that your dad or your parents shared with you in the
question.
80s that kind of set you up for like the
Success.
the themes or the genre of movies that you really like today?
I think like the Charles Bronson movies.
Yeah.
Like 10 to Midnight's a great one.
Okay.
It's a serial killer one.
I've never seen a Charles Bronson movie.
You got to see 10 to Midnight. I'd
Okay.
recommend that
Charles Bronson's awesome.
I know he is the quintessential tough guy.
He's
like
fucking badass.
he is. I get it.
one.
Like
It's just chasing a serial killer.
Yeah.
And he's
He's badass like Clint Eastwood used to be
Oh.
before he started yelling at chairs.
I was
going
to say, at what point do you consider Clint Eastwood not cool anymore?
But he was like 50 when he became famous with Death Wish in 74. Like
See,
he
I know
was-
the Death Wish
he
stuff.
was the supporting player. He's in Dirty Dozen. He's in Magnificent Seven.
But you could tell that Charles Bronson was like a rough and tough fucking vet from WW2.
Was he a war vet?
Oh yeah, like
He was a coal miner in Pennsylvania. That whole like
Really?
yeah. What
story.
didn't he like? Was he special forces in World War II?
something crazy
Like
that.
the guys killed. He probably killed 1,000 people with his hands.
Yeah, I mean, I just know that he's.
Like-
I just know he's like. There's
Like
John
he-
Wayne. There's
you know
Charles
when you have
Bronson,
so
there's
much
Chuck
PT
Norris. Like
yeah.
there's these big,
Yeah.
action tough guys from the 60s, 70s, 80s, and even 90s.
Don't forget about Rock Hudson.
Rock Hudson. but you wouldn't.
Hey, you wouldn't
He
know.
was, dude. He was a big tough guy. That was the irony
he
of this.
Changed the whole idea of the quintessential.
But
gay
that's
man
why
in
he had to
Hollywood.
hide it because he wouldn't have been casted as
Exactly,
that leading
you
man
lose
in
the work.
Hollywood. Totally,
Yeah.
100%.
The town that's like be yourself is like, but
Yeah.
don't be yourself too much.
Don't be yourself if you're this dude.
Dude, that's not the self we want.
But Charles Bronson movies were always like you just see Charles. It's not like what is.
He
the
plays the
movie.
same character.
It's-
He plays
Yeah.
Charles Bronson.
Oh yeah, I mean that's
It's kind of
why-
like how Ryan Reynolds plays Ryan
I was going
Reynolds.
to say The Rock plays The Rock, right? Like
There's nothing.
he's not working too hard, but he doesn't have to because he is that.
Yeah, or
guy.
Jason Statham plays Jason Statham.
Oy.
There's the story of the Death Wish when the director was offering it to him, Charles Bronson. He's like, "Well, your wife gets raped and murdered, and you go out and chase out the hoodlums and shoot them on subways and things like this, vigilanteism, right?" And Charles Bronson says, "Yeah, I'd like to do that." And the director's like, "You'd like to do the movie?" He's like, "No, I'd like to shoot the hoodlums." That's apparently a true story.
That's awesome.
I'm not shocked in that whatsoever. And then I mean was it Bruce Willis or was it Kevin Bacon who remade Death Wish? But they it's the one where like
You're technically weirdly correct. So
it's not a remake, but it's
Death Wish was written by Brian Garfield,
Yeah.
the novelist. There's a semi-sequel or in theory, sequel called Death Sentence, which Kevin Bacon did.
Thank you. That's
And
that.
then Death Wish remake with Eli Roth did is Bruce Willis. So
Thank
you're
you.
kind of right.
Yeah, I do
weirdly
that.
about-
I conflate a little bit too much sometimes, and then I say it seriously, and people go, "You must be right."
That's 5 degrees of Kevin Bacon.
But no, I mean,
There you go.
it's not heavy plot shit. It's not hard to enjoy, but man, is it fucking good. Like, I had a guy who wanted to be like, my dad wanted to be a mob boss. My mom showed me things like he did. He swear to God, he thought he was fucking Al Pacino or Robert De Niro. He wore
Your
gold,
dad?
My dad, he wore gold chain. My dad was a grocer, Aaron. Like, he was the least likely thing to
What
be
is
a
that
fucking
term? I don't know what that means.
like a goomba, like a gangster,
yeah,
right?
okay.
Like, he thought he was
Yeah.
in the
Is
mob.
your dad Italian?
No, he's Ukrainian. Like, he just wanted it. Like, he wanted it so fucking bad.
Now, when you
So,
say
like,
gold chains, like a gold chain, or are we talking like
Three.
Mr. or Mr. T?
3. Like,
Like-
no, we're not talking about like
Like
gold,
if there's
links.
like there's a spectrum, and on one side is the skinny little gold chain, and on the other end is Mr. T. Where's your
It's-
dad?
My dad's right around where, like, okay, pinky ring, gold watch, 3 gold chains, one of them a Ukrainian cross,
Okay,
like that kind of shit, right? Like
Yeah.
glistening and chest hair kind of thing,
Yeah,
not
yeah.
like pronounced, but
like look at my orthodoxy.
yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
right, like Ukrainian mom, farthest he could get.
That's fair. That's
The
fair.
point I'm saying is I watched all the crime movies. You asked him if his dad had shown him, right? Like,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
saw
yeah.
Goodfellas.
What was
saw-
your favorite when you were a kid? Like when you that he showed
I
you?
had an experience with The Godfather. I think that really taught me what a story could be. And I mean, I was young. I was maybe 12 or 13, but he was like, this is a movie that's going to change your life. And it just
Did you watch the first one first or the second one
first
first?
one first?
Okay.
We went in order. And then I learned right quick that the second one is better in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
But like
But it's
equally
different.
as-
But it's
it's
different.
different,
But it's
right?
different.
The third one, hey, we can all have conversations.
moments
about-
in there.
You're finishing the trilogy.
right. You are.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're finishing the trilogy.
You're phoning it in.
I
but hey,
need
you're
some
finishing.
closure.
Yeah, yeah. But seeing
the final
Godfather,
scene's good of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
the shootout, yeah,
The
it's
stairs and the
unbelievable.
end, yeah.
And there's
losing
stuff
it.
good in it. It's just it's not a
It doesn't have the cohesion that the other two are great from beginning to end.
yeah.
What I think I learned was that the shit that we watched as kids, which is all like big prop and big production value,
Mm-hmm.
like there's nothing really big. There's not a lot of big production in The Godfather. It's all in the story. It's all in the character. It's all in the acting. Right? There's not a lot of big explosions. There's not a lot of big action beats.
I mean,
For a mafia movie, there is.
there is. I mean, there's the
But
scene
over
where
the
James Caan gets killed
Yeah.
in the
Which
first
is
one.
the end of the VHS tape 1.
Yep.
If
Yep.
when you were a kid,
Yep.
you watched it. Yeah, the shootout, and then it's replace the tape because it's like that. You gotta I don't know.
It's
Slice of
intermission
pizza,
time or whatever.
go have a-
Yeah.
Do you think they chose
take a
that
shit.
moment?
They must have.
They must
right?
have. They must have gone. Yeah, where should we talk? Because it almost gives you like a little reprieve from that, and makes you think about that scene while
The
you're
other one I
switching
remember
Tension has
tables.
been building since
Totally.
he's been put in the hospital.
It's a weird thing that only people of our generation would know. Those VHS 2 tapes, like Casino, I know too, which is the, what's his name? He was in the Sam Peckinpah movies. The cowboy guy. He's like, well, he's gonna do something to Ace Rothstein.
yeah,
He's
yeah.
like, well, I want him gone. And then it
His
ends.
nephew, he wants him out of the
Yeah.
And they're revoking his gaming license.
So they're
Oh,
that's
that's
where that
right.
ends.
That's
VHS
right.
tape 1.
Yeah.
And then,
That's right.
He's got his feet up.
There
on the
isn't a
desk
lot of
and-
movies that had 2 VHS though,
No.
right?
no.
Casino's a good one.
Micheal Black was another one.
Heat.
Yeah.
Heat, yeah. Again, my dad and me, Heat. Like all
That
of
was it. Yeah.
Natural Born Killers had 2.
they,
Yeah.
yeah.
The director's version.
So did
which had all
JFK.
the shit at the end.
What?
JFK did
yeah.
too. Yeah, I mean
Nixon.
Yeah.
Which I like Nixon a lot.
That's a lot of Oliver Stone movies.
It always fucked up your movie collection too, because it would take up 2 spots, and then you'd be like, "Oh, I have another series. It has to go on the next shelf because this movie fucking."
Do you remember the
kills
first DVD of Goodfellas? Like that came out in 97, 98. It was like the Laserdisc thing where it's like half of the movies on the first. They'd have to flip it. It
I
was
remember
so
that.
No.
Yeah.
No,
yeah.
I
That was
don't.
the first DVD
Weird.
for
And then they
Goodfellas.
started doing one with the movie on it, then one with all of the special
Well,
features. on
what
it
happened
with
was
the
is they
flip.
actually got double layered DVDs too.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could-
Or they'd have
like
one
a record,
disc, full
yeah.
frame,
Yeah.
one disc wide, which
Yeah.
was stupid.
Yeah, 4x3 and 16x9. I
And then
fucking
they
Why
would
hate
have,
provide
that.
like-
both? Like you don't need it's.
To this day, I get like a movie that I want to see at like a Value Village, and I'm like, I pull it out, and I'm like, it's like the full frame. Like, okay, put that back.
Oh fuck!
No,
I can't
sorry.
stand. I can't stand that shit. Well, especially now, like, because everyone's got a widescreen TV.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not like, oh, let me dust off my 27-inch
watch.
Trinitron in the
I'm
basement
actually-
to watch this.
I'm actually
Yeah.
having a nostalgic moment because the last time we did this topic was when me and you did this topic We did it very briefly.
Did we?
We did, because I'm having moments of talking to you about your dad, about what your dad would watch. What was Mad Max a big one for you? I know Blade Runner is a big one.
Blade Runner's number one, right?
Yeah.
So my dad loves Blade Runner. And like I remember as a kid, the Blade Runner director's cut came out in the theater. That would have been probably like 88 or something like that. 87, 89 maybe. And I remember going with my dad to go see it. And the other thing that we did a lot in the 80s is we went to the drive-in.
Yeah, that's a big thing
And
too.
one of my first drive-in movies I remember is us going to see a double-header of James Bond.
What were they? Which James Bond?
I think one was Moonraker.
Yeah.
Ugh, that's a lot.
And then
Jaws in space.
and I can't remember it was two Roger Moore ones for sure. I'm pretty sure it was Moonraker, and then the one that's on the one with Christopher
Golden
Walken
Gate
on
Bridge?
View to Kill? Yeah.
View to a Kill,
Yeah.
Yeah.
which is awesome.
A
The
View
one
to
with
a
Grace
Kill or a
Jones.
View to
Yeah.
Kill? What is
A
it?
View to Kill.
View to Kill, yeah.
That's a great one because where they're like mining and putting those explosives, and then they go to the Golden Gate Bridge. And
Well, View to Kill
Duran
has
Duran.
a lot of the jokes from taking it. The View to Kill has the one that puts that one in Goldmember.
yeah, that one's got a lot of jokes.
Yeah,
I love gold.
But like those are the early days of it.
Yeah.
That was his
Yeah.
last one, Roger Moore. He was so old in it.
He was almost 60.
Yeah.
He was in
Yeah.
late 50s
He
for
was
sure.
pushing it. He wasn't doing his own stunts. That's for sure.
I don't think he was doing his own stunts ever.
No.
He wasn't Sean Connery, bro.
No.
Like my mom.
Sean
was,
Connery's legit.
My mom was a big proponent of like the original Christmas Carol, the Alistair Sim black
right.
and white one.
It's a Wonderful Life too for me.
It's
My
a wonder-
mom was
right?
Yeah.
She was big into the golden era.
Yeah.
I got my stuff. I got my
Yeah, my
golden
dad
era.
was. My dad was too.
I got my golden era from my mom. I got my like blockbusters and mainstream stuff from my dad. But I mean, I also watched it. Like he had Dr. Zhivago. That was a two VHS.
Yeah.
I've actually never seen Dr. Zhivago.
It's pretty depressing, but it's good.
Who directs that again?
Oh God,
David Lean.
thank you. And then also Terrace Bulba with Yul Brynner.
Oh yeah.
like
Directed by Richard Fleischer, who did Conan the Destroyer. Strangely enough.
that makes perfect sense. Tony Curtis and Yul Brynner in that one.
Did he direct Red Sonja too?
Yeah.
He did, right?
Yeah.
Red Sonja is so much better.
Yeah.
The
I was showing a friend that I have the German Blu-ray. Sorry, this is
no.
No, this is what we love. Yeah.
It's called the German Blu-ray of Red Sonja, where it's called Calidor, because they promote Schwarzenegger in it instead of Brigitte Nielsen.
What do they call it? Calidor?
Calidor, which I think is his character name.
Brigitte Nielsen back in her day, stunner. Now she looks like she could bench press me, but
I'd still-
whatever. That's into somebody.
Would you still?
I'd let her bench me. Yeah. But yeah, like I'm having these like moments now where I'm like, I just want to watch classic cinema. Like I'm remembering why the Ten Commandments is so good, right? And why Ben-Hur is
You should
so
watch
good.
some Friedkin. You should go back and watch French Connection.
Yeah, right. Like, well, and just in honor of, like, may they find
Oh,
out
yeah,
what
Gene
the fuck
Hackman,
happened,
that's right.
French
Like,
Connection 2 is good.
Yeah.
too.
What's
The
his
ending.
Popeye Doyle.
Popeye Doyle. Thank you.
Yeah,
I was
You're
brain
welcome.
farting on that. Yeah.
No, but like all that
I
stuff.
had to watch that
French
in my
Connection.
film.
That what is that car chase done without notifying the authorities?
I think so. Yeah, it's not safe.
It's not safe.
They
That's
got
not
it. They
for
got
sure.
some tickets.
Yeah,
from
and I mean, then
from the-
Ronan
from-
tried to do it too. I think, or they.
Yeah, which
they-
is the director of French Connection 2.
That's-
Frankenheimer.
yeah.
But not a yeah. Friedkin did car chases in 3 movies: French Connection, To Live and Die in L.A., and Jade.
Jade.
Which, yeah,
Is that David Duchovny, Jade? And Linda Fiorentino.
No, what's his name? The red-haired guy.
Oh,
David Russo.
David Russo.
Yeah.
Sorry,
David
I was going to say
Russo,
Carradine.
Yeah.
But he's,
David
Another good
Carradine.
one in the 70s too is Chinatown.
yeah,
Fuck.
Yeah.
but like all of those,
Which ironically is kind of the similar to the theme of the fires in L.A.
well, you can
Yeah.
see what
There you go.
you can see what
because they're talking
Citizen-
about the Palisades in that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can see what Citizen Kane did for like long form storytelling, because prior to that it was 1, 2, and 3 in order and you're done. But then changing your order of how things happen and having your narrative be from so many different places. You get Sonny's narrative. You get
You also have to remember the censorship that was in movies
Oh,
up to a
yes,
certain point as
yeah.
well too, right?
Pre-
Like when Double
66.
Indemnity is pushing the envelope in the late 40s, and you look back at that and you're like, all right, it's cool film noir, but
we're not. Yeah,
you know,
I mean, of
hey, you coming here?
you can't come in here with those morals and values. What are you talking about?
You're showing your ankles. Holy.
But yeah, like if I didn't get what my mother showed me and what
Yeah.
my dad showed me, I would not have like I am very lucky that my
Did your parents ever show you Hitchcock or anything?
No, I had to reach out on my own to find.
Yeah,
that
my dad showed me some of that stuff when I was like, say, 9 or 10. I remember watching The Birds when I was like 9 or 10.
I remember Psycho early.
Yeah. Psycho.
My father watched that. Psycho, I remember.
My mom.
I love the introduction to Psycho, like the credits, and I think that's the one thing that Hitchcock doesn't get enough praise for. Is turning.
He starts building tension there.
Yeah.
Well, he takes the credits from being da 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 da, and it's just like flashing all the names. He actually creates it into a story that like unfolds the opening of the movie. I always think that that's so cool and understated by people.
You know what too? Like you always we talk about today with like music and stuff. Like I'm still listening to the Stones, right? Because nothing sounds like the Stones.
I'm wearing a Stones shirt,
right? And we're like,
this is very faded.
When everything went digital, it became very produced and it sounded different. You were talking about records before we started, like just the sound of a record alone,
the pops,
and the crackles, and that little that.
They're very bad for the environment, though.
Are they?
Oh, of course.
Records? Well, of course. Plastic.
Who gives a fuck?
Yeah.
Don't take away my vinyl. But like the even the imperfection that was recorded in the room, like the moments kept in there, right, where everything else is removed.
Yeah.
So like you end up getting eventually to a point where like everything is so mass produced, and then it's put out because of shareholders and whatnot. But I'm still going to be showing movies from the 60s and the 70s if I ever had kids, right? Like I'm not interested. If I had kids, I wouldn't be like, let me show you Step Brothers. Like I'm not, as much as it's a fun movie.
Yeah.
If you want an education in how great cinema can be and the lengths that people can take it, you're always going to be going back to this to that era. And I'm just thankful to be alive in this time of cinema. As cheesy as it
just
sounds.
having everything available at your fingertips.
Yeah,
I think Scorsese's the first one that really incorporated the music into the soundtrack to the next level.
Oh, I mean, he used full song. Like he wanted you to go on. He wanted the song to speak for the scene just as much as the dialogue in the scene was doing the work.
100%. Goodfellas is a prime example of that.
Oh, the casino walkthrough in Casino is like, can you hear me knocking? I go back to that scene countless times to be like, this is how you do, and it's not even a real montage. It's just that it's like it's almost like a single cam shot.
And then I think Tarantino took it to the next level.
Okay, one more from you, Aaron, before we get to the stuff, the naughty list. Like, what's another formative?
Well, classic cinema, like Blockbuster. When I started,
did you
getting older?
Yeah,
there was a Blockbuster like
because I feel that Blockbuster is kind of like it's
90s.
It's 90s, right? Like
it's 90s. Because I don't think we got a Blockbuster in Winnipeg until 1990.
Oh, I was talking about the style of film.
Oh, I thought you were talking about.
I was talking about like
Blockbuster movie or Blockbuster.
No, the video store.
I thought you were talking about the rental
go back to that.
Yeah.
Just about like, I would say 80s, early 90s mom and pop video stores. I'm renting 70s. I'm renting 80s movies. Watching current stuff. Heat, whatever.
When the new release came out, there was only 3 copies.
Yeah.
And maybe you had to be on the wait list
because they were $600 a pop, right?
I remember as a kid going to a video store and they had like 1 million copies of this movie, Whitewater Summer, with Sean Astin, Kevin Bacon. Have you ever heard of that movie?
No.
Yes, that's the one where they go on the camping trip.
Yeah, it's great. It's amazing.
Corey Feldman's in it too, isn't he?
No, it's the kid from Growing Pains.
That's what
he looks like Corey Feldman.
That's right. Sorry, and the kid breaks his leg at the end.
Kevin Bacon breaks his leg, and then
Kevin Bacon's like
Astin
he's
has to
fucking
stand
nuts.
up.
Kevin Bacon's turns all crazy, right?
What's his face? Cameron. Kirk Cameron from Growing Pains. Is that who you're talking about?
No, it's
the
like
brother, the younger brother.
Your brother. Or
yeah, okay,
yeah.
the blow blonde kid. Yeah,
yeah.
Matt Adler is in it. He's the guy from North Shore, the surfing movie. That was a big one too as a kid. So yeah, mom and pop video stores. Like I watched all of it, but once
This guy.
Oh yeah,
he was in what?
Oh
what
God,
else?
yeah.
Holy, he's fucking old now. He was in Teen Wolf.
Teen
Oh,
Wolf.
and he's in Flight. He's in Flight of the Navigator.
Yeah.
Who was he in Flight of the Navigator?
He plays the older. He plays the younger brother.
Oh
when he's older.
shit,
Yeah.
that is him because he's without the glasses.
Yeah.
Oh, totally, that is him. Oh, he's 58. Yeah, mom and pop video stores were the jam, right? Like the cabin rental or like the corner shop kind of shit. Is that what you're talking about?
You'd rent like older VHS tapes of Serpico, Dog Day Afternoon. That's what I was getting into. All of those movies when I was Oh, am I leaning back? But then when Blockbuster came out, just because the mom and pop video stores and where I grew up didn't have like classic cinema, so Blockbuster, as I mentioned, the AFI 100. So I was renting Hitchcock for the first time, Rear Window and Vertigo and Mr. and Mrs. Smith and whatever other ones I could find. And then I was going to the library to get like art house foreign weird stuff. You know, after, let's say, 95, cinephiles, the us's of today, they're all about like sharing files. It's like, you want that rare movie? There's like Twitter accounts that I follow that are like,
that's cool.
Request a movie, and it's like this 40s movie that aired once on TV in 1984, and someone has a copy.
And they'll just give it to you in a MPEG-4, and you just download
it's
it.
like that's the cinephiles. They're well versed. They
cool.
know who these directors are because
you have to send me these links. But yeah, you're right. I mean,
there's a Twitter called Rare MF Film, I think it is. I follow it every day. It's like,
I'll be checking that.
It's called X.
Well, I just
X. Yeah, I know. I call it Twitter. It's like old habits.
We could go down a rabbit hole, and I mean, I'd love to, but just for the sake of time, and it's a school night. Everybody tried to see an R-rated movie when they were a kid, sneak into it, watch it at a sleepover, whatever. I think that's...
My dad just used to rent them for us.
I know.
Okay, see, again, single mother, afraid of what would happen if I was exposed to said things. I'm not defending that action. I'm just defending my point.
Like, my mom would be like, Cam, you let the boys watch that? Like,
yeah.
But
that was a common statement.
Okay, so did you guys not really sneak anything? Like, was everything...
I'll tell you a funny story. So I was in the 6th grade, and I got grounded for a couple of months because I did something bad. And one of the punishments was, like, no video games, no computer. My bike was taken away.
Usual suspects.
I was allowed to watch TV, but anytime the family rented a movie, I wasn't allowed to watch it.
You're banished to your room.
I was banished to my room or whatever, which is pretty fucking shitty. So I loved Arnold Schwarzenegger as a kid. Most kids did. And we rented Kindergarten Cop.
What is you?
And I really wanted to see this movie, right? And so in the middle of the night, I woke up. So I woke up at like 3 in the morning, snuck downstairs, put the movie on, pulled the ottoman right up in front of the TV, just had it on really low volume, and watched Kindergarten Cop in the middle of the night, and then rewound the movie, put it back in the thing, put everything back in place, and then went up to bed.
That's the best story of watching something you weren't supposed to watch. That was PG. Like, that's amazing.
So I was in the 6th grade.
That's crazy.
I remember
I saw that in theaters.
I snuck in Wayne's World before I was like, my mom was like, that's too raunchy for you, and I was like, fuck that shit.
Yeah.
So I think like whatever situation.
You would have been like 10 or 11.
I was I was.
What?
And
It was too raunchy? I don't get it.
Well, okay, so here's what happened.
I saw it in theaters.
Like the gun rack comment was
no,
too
not
raunchy?
not the gun.
And you would have been like 9 when you went and saw it in the theater.
It was 91, I think.
Yeah.
She was just I don't know what she was fucking thinking. I still have to live with this, but like but like what happened was I saw it. I think it was at someone's sleepover or whatever the fuck, and we went to the Kildona Place Mall.
Mm-hmm. Great theater.
Great theater. Famous players. Forever in my heart. The
movies were $4.25.
They were.
They're crazy.
Saw Titanic there like 6 times.
What the fuck? Get the fuck out.
Yeah. I mean, it was a date movie. Whatever.
6 times?
Yeah, people. I didn't argue.
Wow.
So
seems like an absurdly.
I haven't seen that once.
Yeah.
I haven't seen
Titanic. Like, I've seen The Fifth Element.
You haven't seen Titanic?
I've seen The Fifth Element 5 times in the
That's
theater.
impressive. Like, just to stave off this long.
Yeah.
And not.
I was gonna go when they re-released it in theaters a few years ago, and then it was just didn't
it.
happen.
You know what? Just fast forward it to just the scenes with Billy.
Yeah.
and just the final scene, so you can see what
Zane
all
or
the
Paxton?
Zane.
Okay.
Obviously.
Yeah,
I was like, Paxton's not in it that much.
And then the very end, so that you can go, yeah, there was room on the fucking door, bitch.
You do need to. I mean, I'm sure you've seen the scene.
Well,
but
everyone's it's osmosis by this point.
Yeah. Well, they fucking did a documentary on Disney about it.
Did they?
Yeah, there's a whole like 20-minute documentary, and Cameron's like, she couldn't have let him on the door, and I'm like, shut up, you old man. Like,
It also could have flipped.
there's lots of variables. Okay, so anyway, so I watch Wayne's World, and we go to the Chinese food restaurant, and the lady asked me what I want, and because I didn't understand the joke, but it was a Chinese reference, she asked me what I wanted. I said the cream of some young guy. And my mom looked over at me and was like, what the fuck? and the lady was like, oh, and she looked at me, and my mom had to sit me down and be like, that's not what you think it is. So like my first like true attempt at sneaking a movie that I wasn't allowed to watch backfired so fucking hard. Because then she's like, where'd you learn that? And I was like, I don't know. And then, needless to say. But like those, I mean, there's your standard Porky's. right?
Yeah.
I watched that later, and which is
I
a
watched
great
it
movie.
later too.
I've never seen it. I'm not
There's
a
not that
the
much.
first two.
There's not, in comparison to
straight
the
up
world,
sex comedy, right? Like
Yeah. Which is still love those movies.
You know, it's the #1 grossing Canadian-made movie of all time. Still,
That
Shut
one?
up.
Porky's,
pretty
yeah.
sure it is. Let's check. Let's fact check that shit. It was up to a certain time ago.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are introduced to the first fact check of the show ever.
Porky's. We'll keep talking.
No, we're in anticipation.
Well, Porky's
Number
2 the next
one
day is like literally
The next day?
the next day.
Yeah.
It's that thing in the 80s where like Friday the 13th Part 2 or 3 where it's like a minute later. Or what? Halloween 2.
I love when movies do
Yes,
that. By the way.
Porky's is the
Like the
highest
next-
grossing Canadian film, earning $105 million in North America.
That's adjusted for inflation.
It doesn't say that specifically, but like that's the Gemini AI saying that. It's not producing.
I feel like such a loser sitting over here, and you guys are like, "Yeah, I got to fucking see everything," and I'm like, "Yeah, I didn't watch Wayne's World again
There
until
were
I was
certain
20."
things. I didn't see Basic Instinct. I think that my parents rented that.
Well, I mean, that one
Didn't
caused
watch that
such a
with me.
fucking.
I wasn't allowed to watch it when
I
my parents
wasn't
watched
to
it.
watch that.
Yeah.
That
But
that
the
was
funny story with
Go
that
ahead. Yeah.
is that I later rented Scent of a Woman.
Huh.
And my mom thought that was Basic Instinct for some reason. She's like, "That's the one with Sharon Stone. You're not watching that." And
No, it's hoo-ha.
yeah, she had no idea.
So
like
Chris
what
O'Donnell and Al
idea was that.
Pacino. It's
Yeah.
a fucking classic movie.
When I was 13, my dad, my buddy was like sleeping over, and we went to go get a movie, and we
Were you cuddling under the same blanket?
No, we weren't. We went to
Yeah.
TVS Video at the time.
Oh, on McLeod.
Yeah, McLeod there.
Oh,
Which kind of
shit.
predated. Rogers ended up buying them up.
Yep.
There was like a big chain in Western Canada, and A Clockwork Orange. We were walking, and my dad's like, "Clockwork Orange. It's about time you boys watch this." And I'm like 13, and like, dude, that movie.
That's not good messaging for a 13-year-old.
Well, a little bit of ultra violence and
Right.
yeah, Singing in the Rain.
Yeah, that's a.
Okay, I can't. I mean, I am scarred. I didn't see it till
You know
later.
the big strong guy in that movie?
Yeah.
that's
Dave Prowse,
that's
yeah.
Vader.
That's Vader?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So he's got the glasses, he looks nerdy, but he's like
Yeah.
a big bodybuilder. That's fucking
He just
Vader.
picks up the old man and
Yeah.
walks him through the. Walks him
I
through
also
the
found
house.
out that Proust actually was mad that they didn't use his voice, and he later leaked Empire Strikes Back spoilers
Because they wouldn't let him speak.
Yeah,
because he wouldn't
before the
speak.
movie
Yeah.
came out.
Yeah.
I mean, does that mean you're making more money because you're doing less work?
He was just he.
I know.
Yeah.
You're in the costume. You want to be the actor. Okay, so in your world, you were able to see because your mom probably didn't want you watching.
I don't think my mom was home
Okay. All right.
or was paying attention.
Basic Instinct, though, to your point, like that one changed cinema ratings for. I mean, not the.
Was it NC-17?
I don't think
I
was
don't think
R.
I don't think it was it?
No, I'm just saying with the
That was Showgirls. That was
that was
NC-17.
at Blockbuster.
So
They
was
would
Wild
hold
Things,
it.
I think too.
Was it?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it depends on how. Do you know how the rating system works? Like, is it the same governing board? Once you're on,
In
you're
the
on. For,
in the United States, it is. Yeah.
Yeah,
is it a term for life?
Yeah.
Because I mean,
I don't think they do a reassessment.
no, England they do. Like Texas Chainsaw Massacre wasn't released there until like 2000, because
that's wild.
That would be different though. Like if it's a
Yeah.
new movie coming into a market, then I would understand that they would do a new rating on it. But also stuff that gets a high rating in the U.S. will get a lower rating in Canada, and vice versa sometimes. Because Canada is a little bit more strict on violence, but looser on sexuality.
I just remember Basic Instinct coming out and it being like the thing to try to see because once it came out that they
Because you could see some pussy.
well, and then I mean, at the time that you're like, oh God, all right, everybody was on board for this, but then you find out
I'm going
years
to
later,
exactly pause it.
Well, yeah, I mean, how many tapes out there did that, right? But like when you find out later that it was like
The DVD took it to
it's
the
not,
next level.
It's not the cut they told her it was going to be, and all that stuff. Like, I mean, and it's always he said, she said, but still,
Yeah.
like, nobody wants their fucking front and center to be out front and center,
Yeah.
specifically in a movie like that. But yeah, no, I remember that was like the thing to try to see.
I didn't see that till much later either. So
I do you remember seeing a movie that maybe you were like too fucking young for? I mean, you've got Clockwork Orange, Aaron. What like did you have one that you were like, I should have waited?
in terms of what, violence or like
Any sort of NC-17 or above, I guess, rating. Like, I mean, I see things now that, I mean, I got tricked into watching a Serbian film, and it still
Right.
sits with me, right? Because it's like, no one's normalized to seeing that. So when you're younger, there's just a broader spectrum, I guess, to play with, where it's like, wow, I haven't seen ultraviolence yet. So maybe
I
I
actually
should
think
see it.
Gremlins is a lot more violent than people remember it being, because I tried to watch it with my kid last year.
And it scared her.
And no, and there was a couple times where I was like, oh, I need to fast forward this.
Yeah.
That is a little bit more violent. It's not, it's just a little, it's just, you know how some movies, they'll do the violence off camera, like off frame.
They cut at the last second, so it's not,
you know somebody got shot. Like in Indiana Jones, the guy will get shot, but it's off frame, so it's not as violent, right? You know, Avatar is a good example of a movie where like the violence usually happens off frame, right? And that allows, so the violence is implied, but you don't show it.
Marvel violence.
Totally.
Yeah.
Gremlins shows it. Like, you know, like they put a fucking gremlin in a fucking blender and blend it up. Like that's pretty grotesque for like a 4 or 5.
Like I saw Silence.
So I was like, okay, look away.
I was gonna say, yeah, I saw Silence of the Lambs well before I should have.
It's a pretty grotesque movie.
That's actually a good one. And now it's like one of my favorite movies. But like,
oh man,
when I saw it as a kid, I didn't understand it.
No,
well, it's got some pretty complex stuff in it, right?
Well, I mean, yeah,
you're like, why is he tucking his penis in between his legs?
Like when the inmate that throws
multiple
the
MIGs.
semen,
Yeah. I didn't know it was semen.
What it was.
Neither. I was just gonna say I didn't know what it was until way later, and then you piece it together, right?
Yeah.
That's the magic of animated kids movies, is that the humor's for the parents, but the shots are for the kids, right?
Yeah.
Bugs Bunny goes off a cliff, but the subtext of the scene is Bugs Bunny just wants to fucking kill Elmer Fudd, right? So on and so forth.
Very, very.
Do you I mean, Lost Boys for me was one that I still always bring up as like I was at a friend's house watching it, and I was like I'm scared. And I couldn't tell myself it wasn't real.
Right.
And I still remember being like, I shouldn't, like, I had to lie. Like, what'd you watch? Fucking Gummy Bears? Some dumb shit like that. Like it.
See, that would have scared me. Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part 2 and the first one were scary to me as a kid.
Well, how come do you think?
Because it's a crazy guy with a chainsaw.
Oh, okay, I was just making sure.
Part 2 has like some like scare sequences, like, you know, like jump scares where you're.
Well, Part 2 is almost where the story really starts, right?
It's
because,
kind of like a comedy, the second one, right?
Yeah,
so.
It's got a little bit more slapstick to it than, I don't know. And I mean, the 80s were full of gore.
Night of the Living Dead's really freaky,
right?
too.
Yeah, I think it's horror.
I had a
mostly.
babysitter that showed that to me when I was like 5 or 6, and it freaked me out. I watched a movie called Blood Beach when I was like 5, and it was kind of freaky.
Yeah.
Some of that slasher 80s stuff, I definitely saw it sooner than
Well, and like, I mean, hindsight's 20/20, right? So
like the Nightmare on Elm Streets, I saw way sooner than I should have. The Friday the 13th, I saw way sooner than I should have. But, you know, but it freaked you out. But at the same token, you knew that it was so ridiculously crazy.
Those you did,
you knew it was fake.
Well, Vampire Teens was more realistic than Freddy because you knew that Freddy was a dream, right? So it wasn't grounded. But
I just remembered a movie that I really liked from my childhood. Yeah, Lost Boys.
Yeah,
it's good.
It's super good.
Jason Patrick, Kiefer Sutherland,
the soundtrack's really good too,
right? Like it is one of those trashy metal vampire movies that will live on in infamy for me.
It's Jason Patrick's greatest movie.
My mother was so fucking. It
has the Coreys in it.
That started the Coreys. That's the first.
Was that the first one? Was that the first one?
Yeah, and then License to Drive.
License to Drive is it's so good. Corey Haim getting like butt raped and him turning into a drug addict. Such a sad thing.
So what's we'll cap this off here because obviously we're all fucked up from the shit we watched. But or
are we awesome?
Or doesn't? Yeah, I think it makes us better cinephiles. What is there a movie that you've watched recently from your childhood that you're like, what the fuck is this now? Like something that was the almighty temple of awesome movie for you, but now you're like, what was I thinking? Is there anything that's come back? Like, do you guys do those nostalgic watches? Like, my example was I recently rewatched Return to Oz. And
that one's weird.
And yeah, we were talking about
with like the roller monkeys,
and then like the TikTok, the robot that you had to wind up, and then
so you're saying it's not good, or not that it's not good.
It's not good. Yeah. It is.
Okay.
It does.
I haven't seen that forever.
It's just like it's just a disjointed.
Is Diana Ross in that?
No, that's The Wiz. I think you're thinking.
Oh, is that The Wiz? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I mean, not everything has staying power, but that one for me was a huge gem of my childhood. I loved how weird it was. I loved Fairuza Balk is in it. She's the one who changes her heads. Like there's different heads for the witch and stuff. But looking back at it now, I'm like, as much as I revered that movie and had a special place in my heart for it, I had to turn it off halfway through because I was like, and I guess it's because I'm an adult. I'm an old man. I'm a middle-aged man. I don't have the same connections. But do any of those, like, you don't want to watch them because you're afraid it might get ruined? Even is that something for either of you guys?
I've got the opposite, which is, well, sort of in the same vein. Something Wicked This Way Comes, the Disney one.
Yeah. Okay.
With Jason Robards as the father.
Hang on.
What's it called?
It's one of those
Wicked
older.
This Way Comes.
Yeah.
Ray Bradbury, 82 Disney movie. If you watch that as a kid, you're obviously.
I gotta see. What's it called again?
Something Wicked This Way Comes. I watched that recently. I think for Halloween last year. And, you're in the shoes of the kids when you watch it as a kid. But now that I'm older, you kind of see it from the Jason Robards perspective, and it's told really well that way. His foibles. And that's what
the desires of everyday people, their eagerness to give what is really important in life up for.
What's
like
the actor
family.
Jonathan Pryce? Is it? He's the villain.
Yeah, Jonathan Pryce is in it.
Yeah,
He's the
Jonathan
villain.
Pryce.
I feel
yeah.
like I've seen this, but
It's
it's like
great.
I don't really remember it.
Also,
we watch it as an older, and it's like Jonathan Pryce is playing on this middle-aged man's, weaknesses. So it's
okay.
really, when you're older, you're like, this is actually better than what I remembered it as a kid. It's like great when you're a kid, but you're like, this is actually more important to me as an adult.
Yeah, you've got a
And
different
the
set of
story,
values.
of course, is it's a famous Ray Bradbury story, but yeah.
Jonathan Pryce also did work in Winnipeg, right? Tales from the Loop.
Oh yeah, he was great in this one. I'm sure he's great in that. I didn't see it, but
Yeah, he's in the Three Body Problem. Me and Rob watched that. He's
good in it.
He's very
In
good.
Brazil.
He's good. He's good in. Oh, dude, he's so good in Brazil. Fucking love
That's
that
another
movie.
one I got to watch.
Love that.
you haven't
fucking
seen
movie.
it.
No, I haven't seen it since I was a
Oh,
kid.
okay,
but
yeah.
like, yeah, I mean,
Terry
that's-
Gilliam is a fucking genius.
Yeah,
So mine is
Yeah.
Labyrinth. So
Doesn't hold up?
I watched Labyrinth. It's good.
Yeah,
But it's just it's a lot more annoying than I remember it being. Jennifer Connelly's character is fucking annoying. Like, you want to slap her.
Yeah, like you.
She's like, like, I'm just like, fuck.
Well, the magic of Henson
And those
right?
fucking eyebrows, like, fucking pluck that unibrow.
Those are caterpillars.
But yeah, like, I mean, I watched the whole thing, but I was like, and Lucy was into it, but I was just like, afterwards, I was like, I don't think I'll ever watch it again.
right.
and that's what like,
I haven't seen that in like a decade
Yeah.
myself.
it's up there with like meeting your icons, right? Or meeting your heroes. Like eventually, at some point, you change.
You remember it being cooler than it actually
You do,
was.
yeah. And
It's like watching Fraggle Rock right now. You're like, this sucks.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll say the same thing about watching.
I think Jim Henson was overplayed.
Or
I-
Scooby Doo when you were a kid.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
Jim Henson. That's,
Yeah.
But just Scooby Doo, like you watch one episode, you're
Yeah.
like, oh, it's the next one's the same.
same
Oh, yeah.
thing
Yeah.
over.
Yeah.
All of those like
Jim
Scooby Doo to
Henson,
me
yeah.
has basically just become like the theme for porn.
that's what you hear
That's what I hear.
when you see a Great Dane. You're just like, that's porn.
No, I was thinking more like everybody wants to bang Velma.
That's probably a porn parody.
There
That's
definitely
the
is,
name of the
for
episode. Everyone
For
wants to
sure.
bang Velma.
For sure, it's a porn parody. It's
Well,
like everybody wants to bang Wilma Flintstone.
yeah, no, definitely. Nobody want. I mean,
Or
I
Betty.
didn't have a crush on Betty, unless it was Rosie O'Donnell's Betty. Then
The Wilma
There's-
Betty three-way.
There's the movie The Flintstones. Remember that when that
Yeah.
came out?
With John Goodman
Donald
and
Rick
Trump,
Moranis.
Yeah,
Yeah,
early 90s.
yeah.
Like no one talks about that movie anymore. Do you realize? Remember that was like a huge. That was like open the same
Because
as-
you got to remember who they were appeasing, right? So people grew up on the Flintstones in the 60s.
yeah.
And then it was replayed throughout the 70s. And I'm a kid of the 80s, and it was on every day
Yeah,
after
exactly.
school. So and then
Flintstone Kids was in the late '80s. So
yeah,
we had
and then that kind of disappeared.
vitamins.
So now it's really just Flintstones vitamins, right?
Yeah.
And I think most people don't even have the
But
context for
that movie was on every like promotional
Yeah.
item
Yeah.
for like a year. Like
that.
you couldn't.
But that was the epitome of that.
oh yeah, for sure.
That's why like the United States peaked in the 90s, guys.
That movie
93
though.
with Flintstones.
Halle
With
Berry
the-
is in that fucking movie
Is
as
she?
the secretary,
Kyle
and so's
MacLachlan.
Kyle MacLachlan. Like
He's evil.
yeah,
Cliff.
he's the
I have-
evil guy,
I have the
right?
action figure.
yeah, he's got the long suit. You have the action figure? That's amazing.
Evil.
Fuck.
That's why I know the.
He'd
character
come
name.
quite a long way from playing Paul Atreides.
Didn't they try? Didn't they have like a Dictabird too in the movie? Like, didn't they try to do that?
Probably.
Where the bird would go.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Into
you
like
talk
the-
and-
into the- yeah. That's funny.
And then what was the green alien that was always on the
Oh, the Martian guy.
little Martian
I like
guy?
those episodes.
Yeah, a Martian on a caveman show.
Well, that's when Flintstones jumped the shark.
That-
Like
I
when
like
they
that
when they
character,
introduced
though. It
that
was
character.
He was very
Yeah,
funny.
Yeah.
It just didn't make a lot of sense. Yeah, I mean that's the fear of going back to your childhood and watching your classics. Like I was looking at my list here of things.
Yabba dabba doo.
I not recently, but I mean, guys.
It's like if you watch that show, the Dinosaurs. Remember that TV show, The Dinosaurs?
Yeah.
Not the
Jim
mama.
Henson. Yeah.
Yeah, that's another Jim Henson.
Yeah.
That was his.
That makes perfect
last
sense
thing,
when
I think.
when I look at it. That's his swan song.
The last episode, you know that, right? The whole what happens.
What?
Well, the last episode isn't it the asteroid hits?
Yeah.
And then they're basically dying. Like it's fucking dark.
It's and they show the kid like it's crazy. The newscast is the last thing they see. But
That's so funny. That newscast of a giant
Mama, what?
yeah, it's like sad. It's like what?
art imitating life. What do you want?
I mean, it was kind of
Come on,
kind of
let's be
cool
real
too.
here.
Like they're kind of going, "Hey, could the dinosaurs have had this developed civilization and the asteroid knocked it out?" Like that's kind of
Could they have opposable thumbs and not eat people? I was gonna say I loved Free Willy as a kid. That is one hot piece of fucking garbage to promote a Michael Jackson song.
Never watched it.
Yeah,
I
saw that
loved.
at the drive-in.
You saw it at the drive-in.
Free Willy.
It was, man. It made me.
Terrible.
That's the best place to because you're gonna free the Willy at Free Willy in the drive-in
Yeah,
There was a summer where
because if you do it there, they'll get in trouble.
yeah.
Paul Rubin's like, no Free Willy.
Let me tell you what happens when you free the Willy.
the drive-in that year, it was like Free Willy, Dragon the Bruce Lee story,
Oh, that's such a good
Last
movie.
Action Hero.
Last Action Hero is very underrated.
love to watch.
It's so underrated.
Still,
I love that scene where he dodges the axe getting thrown.
Who is
Yeah.
the bad guy in it again?
The guy, I don't know. I just remember
there's
those.
two.
It's the same guy that's in. He's in
Game of Thrones guy.
the Game of Thrones guy, but the Golden Child he's in. He's the bad guy in the Golden Child as well, with Eddie Murphy.
I want to do this without looking at my phone.
Yeah,
but I don't think I'm
know
gonna.
his name.
I can't remember his name.
I know
either.
the axe scene you're
He
talking
plays
about.
Cersei Lannister. He plays Tywin Lannister.
Oh, that guy.
Yeah.
God damn it. He's in Alien 3.
Yeah.
He's Tywin Lannister. Yeah. I know who you're talking
Yeah.
about now. Did they do that in 3D? Was that 3D?
No,
Or did it just feel 3D in the movie? Like,
It's
That was
the
before-
concept
that was
of the
before
movie.
It was the concept of the
'Cause
movie,
he's
right?
a
Yes.
kid going to see it, and
he's
gets
coming
freaked
out
But
of the
it's
screen.
the epitome of marketing because they actually painted Last Action Hero on the side of a rocket that NASA was launching.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Listener, it's that time where we thank you very much for putting up with us, choosing to listen to us, subscribing to us. If you haven't, you should do that right now. But this is the end of the show, and we would like to know some of your favorite childhood movies. So if you want to leave a comment in the show notes, if this is on Spotify, if you want to leave a voicemail, the link is in the show notes. Leaves you up to 3 minutes to express your opinion, gripe, give us an idea. We love crowd interaction, so when you do it, we'll play your shit on the show. We won't embarrass you. If you don't want to go by your real name, go by a pseudonym. You can go by. You can say you're Charles Dance. I don't give a fuck. Just leave a voicemail, and then we'll play it on the show, and we'll see if you agree, disagree, or couldn't give a shit. That being said, if you're from Winnipeg and you want to get out and do some trivia, we told you about a great one happening March 24th. If you want to know what's happening in the Real Debater universe, like we're going to be at C4 Comic-Con at the end of the month, Rob. We're going to be hosting that this year. Then subscribe to
I
our
like
social
comics.
media. Comics are great. Aaron's a big comic guy.
I
We're going to put Mark in touch with him.
I started collecting during COVID again. I got
That was
like
the perfect
a
hobby
huge-
right then.
Yeah.
I just gave 6 boxes to Mark to go through.
To grade and go through.
Just to buy from me.
Give me money.
I only
For
want,
my
I
pretty
only, I only
pictures.
want 1 box when I move. It was hard. It was really hard.
I can
What
imagine.
did you give up?
A lot of it. There's a lot of garbage, but I was going through it and I was like, "Whoa, this is like
Like, what did you collect? Like
Marvel and lots of Batman and lots of X-Men and
90s, 80s?
lots of 90s stuff, early 2000s." Yeah.
Give your box of comics to Mark. He will make you a happy person.
Yeah.
I gotta get rid of some.
I can't think of anything else. Thanks for listening to the show, guys, and we
you.
hope to see you at our live events. Man, thanks for coming
Yeah, thanks
over.
for doing it. I had a long day. I'm just super tired, so I hope it was energetic. enough.
Yo, dude, you, the listener will love you. You're an encyclopedia, and that's why I wanted. Like, I know you've got a ton of fucking useless knowledge,
Weird
like
shit
I do.
in my
Yeah,
head.
like it.
I love it.
I like it a lot.
I work with this guy at Farpoint right now, and I'm sure I go to I go to his desk every day and I tell him like some
obscure thing,
just like a career of some person that I've watched the night before.
And does he like it?
He digs it. I think
Okay.
he's in the same stuff like
Yeah,
SNL. Like
whenever you're having one of those moments, just DM me, and then it'll be like the Aaron Graham fact of the week is. And we'll put you in on the show and be like, Aaron told me this story,
That's
guys.
fun.
It's pretty
well,
crazy.
I'll give the latest one just because
Okay.
it's fresh in my head. I watched SNL season 12. I mentioned I watched the Willie Nelson episode season 12.
Are we done?
We keep going?
Yep.
Episode 12, the Willie Nelson episode, he hosts. He's the musical guest. Danny DeVito's there promoting Tin Men.
Oh, shit.
But it's the first sketch with Bonnie and Terry Tyler as the writing duo.
Okay.
The first SNL sketch. It's like a truck stop diner sketch with Jan Hooks. They wrote 5 comedy films in the 80s or 90s, I guess, right? They wrote for SNL, wrote 5 films that were the list of films like Wayne's World 1, Wayne's World 2, Coneheads.
This is that duo.
Yeah,
Wow.
The Brady Bunch movie and Tommy Boy. Those are their 5 credits. Like
That's fucking huge.
That's like kind of a perfect comedy track record for the 90s. Then they created Third Rock from the Sun, That 70s Show, and then retired.
Oh,
Very
Third
couple.
Rock from the Sun. I love that show.
Wow, that's like you're batting like 900.
That's like a perfect career. And they're still alive, married, Their daughter's
husband and
taking over for that 90s show.
I didn't like the Coneheads.
That's the weak one. But
Yeah.
it's still
But it
fun
still
stuff.
slaps in comparison.
Marsha.
For everything that
Brady
came out
Bunch
of
movie's classic. That's great.
the only one they didn't do was Blues Brothers, apparently. But I mean, that
If you watch, because I showed my wife Brady Bunch movie and the very Brady sequel, there's you notice the decrease in quality, like the humor. It's like the first one's great, the second one's like, eh.
Eh.
I think they're trying too hard.
Yeah, they knew.
Yeah.
What is good.
They're like, hey, let's make a couple million off this one.
Yeah.
Listener, thank you again. I've been Michael,
I'm Rob.
Aaron.
and we're gone. Watch all the movies, kids. Say bye.
Bye-bye.
Oh, if you have any problems, dial information. Thank you for calling.